Hey everybody, welcome to Will and Drew's Gaming Retrospective, episode 100! Will, we're here, bro.
I can't believe it, man. Dude, it was so... It was so amazing, like, hearing my song being played before the show.
Wasn't that fucking cool? I love it. Your song makes this so special, man. And it is such an honor to have Will_Gears music leading into, closing out, and being the intermission track for Will and Drew's Gaming Retrospective episode 100. And I genuinely mean that too. I know I'm a sarcastic asshole 9 times out of 10, but I really mean that, man. It just feels so different. I can't explain it.
It does. Yeah, no, it absolutely does. Oh, Jesus, that's what it was. So I had, this is our first time streaming this.
Yeah.
I actually had Twitch, I had the volume on. And I was like, oh my God, I'm hearing like 1,000 Drews right now.
You did look a little confused. Now that you have it muted, does it sound a little bit better?
Oh my God, thank God.
Okay,
yes.
Cool. Yeah, that's definitely
Cool.
Definitely the kind of thing that's going to throw you for a loop if you're not used to it. But man, it is super excited to be here. It is super excited to be recording our 100th episode. Did you ever think we'd make it this far?
You know, it's an interesting thing. I was kind of meditating on it all day, and I want to say that our show has never been shitty, right? But at the same time, you kind of have to wonder, you know, are we ever going to make it? Are we ever going to get past episode 20? And I don't think we ever really anticipated how far we'd go with this. We just kind of did it, and we didn't stop. And clearly, here we are. So I think that's a pretty proud milestone, if you ask me.
I'm going to let you in on a little secret, man. If you notice over the years, I've been naming these episodes 001, 002, 028, 050. It's because I always knew we'd hit 100. And I'm one of those assholes that needs everything in like order with the file names, you know? I couldn't have 100 above 1. It wasn't going to work that way.
Yeah, I did notice that you were doing that recently, and either you had it the entire time and I just never realized, but I just noticed it like a week ago, and I was like, why does he have it like 097? And I was like, I just never put 2 and 2 together, but...
It's because I'm OCD and I have a nervous tick.
Dude, I was silently panicking about that echo. I was like, oh my God, we did so much preparation and it's all messed up.
So for everybody that's listening to us, joining us for the first time, first of all, thank you. Thank you so much for being here.
Yes.
We're super proud. This is our 100th podcast that we're recording, but this is our first time ever streaming a podcast like this. We've done a couple game nights. Joe just said in the chat, episode 1000 is going to be a problem. Yes, sir, it is.
Facts.
I got a few years to worry about that, but yeah, you know, it's been a long time getting ready for this, and you know, we knew we wanted to do something special. For 50, we did a round table with our closest friends, but how do you top that in the world of COVID?
Yeah, I mean, that would have been amazing if we could have done something like that again. You know, sit around, shoot. That desk that I just bought today is massive. Anything like that. Yeah, it just would have been great. I mean, that was such a good episode. It was challenging, you know, because we had never had that many people, you know, not only physically in the same room doing the show, but even just on the show, let alone. So challenging but fun, and I think that would have been great for 100. But yeah. With social distancing and masks, that would have been tricky, to say the least.
Absolutely, and it's really disappointing because I would have loved to have had so many people surrounding us. You know, as much of a nightmare as it was to edit that, it just would have made everything so much more special. So this is a good second place as far as I'm concerned. I'm super excited. You and I have been preparing for this for months.
Yeah,
but really, like the past 2 weeks have just been hell.
Yes. Yeah. A lot of stress, a lot of panic, a lot of just streamlined processes that, you know, kind of worked out in our favor. So
right.
In the end, you know, here we are, and so far so good. But yeah, certainly a little bit of stress.
But you know what, man? Like, we've come so far from episode 1. Do you remember what episode 1 started out with?
Oh my gosh. I totally remember us still drinking beer. And I remember we had this idea that we were going to have this discussion about all these crazy craft beers before the show.
Yeah.
And that was pretty short lived, to say the least. I remember we were asking for a lot of suggestions in the beginning, and a lot of folks weren't, huge fans of it. And we totally got that because not everybody is a craft beer drinker, let alone even just beer. So we found that it was kind of clustering the beginning of the show a little bit. We cut it out, and surprise, it's coming back.
Yeah.
So getting ready.
Yeah. I mean,
just kidding.
Well, this is the perfect transition into one of our flashback clips. What do you think?
Let's do it.
So this is a clip from episode 1. Well, you'll just have to hear it. Here we go.
Hey everybody, welcome to the very first episode of this video game venture. My name is Drew.
And I'm Will.
We want to thank everybody for sitting down and joining us today as we sit back and talk about some of our favorite video games and how we all got involved in gaming. Will, it's a pleasure having you on board. We've been discussing this for quite some time, haven't we?
Likewise, absolutely. I'm happy to be here, and we're ready to talk about some stuff.
Well, before we dive into our background, I think we need to just kind of let the listener know what we're drinking right now, because in addition to video games, we're both big fans of the carbonated beverage known as beer, wouldn't you say?
Hugely, in a major way.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man, we are getting a lot of feedback in the chat room right now about the quality of the audio, and let me tell you, man, it has been really rough hearing that over and over again as we've been prepping for this show. I feel like by episode 2 we had a drastic improvement.
Yeah, you know what's really funny, Drew, is I remember over the years I kind of brought up a couple times like how bad episode 1 was from an audio perspective. And I remember sometimes you'd be like, yeah, it really wasn't that bad. And then we were making these clips and you were like, Jesus Christ, that's bad.
Oh man, I think maybe in my mind I was like intentionally avoiding it, all
Probably.
this time. What mic were you using back then? Do you recall?
Yeah, I want to say I was using some kind of either built-in microphone or it was a gaming headset. It might have been my Turtle Beach Stealth 600s or whatever.
Right.
It might have been Astros at the time. But man, yeah, I remember at the time we thought that it was going to be passable, and I suppose it was. But Jesus.
Yeah, I mean, for that episode, I was still using my Audio Technica mic, but we didn't have local recordings of our files, so we were using, I want to say Skype, and recording the Skype call, if I'm not mistaken.
We were using that because when I was looking at Skype for episode 100 as a possible solution for video, I actually found an old chat and it was me and you discussing certain things about the show. And I was like, what is this? And then I realized that it was definitely from that episode. So yeah, we had a totally different format back then.
Yeah, it was pretty drastic, man. But I'm glad that we kind of, used those first few episodes to kind of get our growing pains out of the way. And, we've obviously kind of hit a stride with some sort of a formula. Not entirely sure how we came up with it. It just kind of happened organically. And now we're trying something brand new that's also hopefully organic. I don't know if this seems like it's organic to you guys. It's weird, but this is cool. I'm having fun.
Yeah, likewise, man. I remember, I'm pretty sure I ended up getting this mic after about a week or something. It was pretty early on. And I think it's because we recognized that it just wasn't going to pan out well with the headset or whatever it was I was using. So
right.
Things kind of moved rapidly. I got the mic. We were doing local audio files after maybe a month.
Yeah, pretty
something
quick.
like that. And then I got an audio interface, and just after that, I think Vic said it best. He's like, "Listen, Will, your voice was good before, but now it's just 100 times better." So I thank the audio interface for that.
Yeah, you got some nice equipment, man. So it's definitely come a long way, and I think you've made some good purchases.
Yeah, it was worth it. I mean, here we are,
Right.
It's 100 episodes later, and some of the equipment is probably something to do with that.
Absolutely. So. Well, we're not here to talk about what equipment we're using or what beers we like to drink, although I am drinking a Narragansett Oktoberfest right now, which is backwards in the microphone.
Yep, and I've got This is white wine because I'm a basic white girl, and this is all we had in the house. It's white Kendall Jackson. I think it's like Pinot Noir or something, something that Lauren had left over from some trip that she just came back from. But hey, it's probably gonna get the job done.
Hey man, that's all you need, right?
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about some games because that's what brought us here 99 episodes ago. What have you been playing?
Man, so most of the listeners know that I am just all over the place with games. I never seem to stay very consistent, and I, without a doubt, will kind of face up to that. So I abandoned Child of Light, and the reason being is after discussing with you and some other people, I realized that this backlog's not getting done. It's eating me alive. I want to play something that is fun, something that I really am enjoying, and I just wasn't loving Child of Light. So I moved on to a game that I've been wanting to play for a long time, and that's Shadow of the Colossus. I've had it for quite some time. I bought it, I want to say like maybe a Christmas or two ago.
Yeah.
It was on sale, and my God, am I glad that I started this game, Drew.
Well, we have some video of it that's going to be queuing up for everybody. It is the IGN review. Apologies for that. The IGN logo just came across the screen in my face, so it's kind of fresh in my mind. But this is a game that like I've always wanted to play, and I've never had an opportunity to check it out. I've never really dove into these types of games wholeheartedly. The only one that I've really played is Last Guardian, which is the same team, right?
I believe so, yes.
Yeah. So tell me like what the draw is for Shadow of the Colossus to you, and like did you ever play the original on the PS2, or is this your first experience with it?
Sure, let's dive in. So from what I understand, this is originally a PS2 game. It was then remastered on the PS3. And I want to say Blue Point was the studio that remastered it for the PS3. But long story short, I'm playing the remake the remaster on PS4. And basically, I think what the pull is for me is it evokes a sense of loneliness and kind of solitude. And that sounds kind of depressing, but I do enjoy games like that. I enjoy Dark Souls and Demon Souls for that same reason. When you're not fighting a boss and it's not a cutscene, it's quiet. All you can hear are the sound effects in the game, your own movement, and you have this sense of just being alone. And you're on your own to figure things out. And I think that's what I really like about Shadow of the Colossus. Like there's no crazy menus, there's no stats, a very basic map that just kind of shows you what colossi you've taken down and beaten so far. So I like the simplicity of the layout of the game and the simplicity of what you're actually doing, which is basically riding on your horse, finding colossi by shining your sword into the light of the sun. And it kind of gives you this sense of direction of where you need to go. And you're listening to like this weird god who's telling you where to go and what colossi you have to beat next. And it's just incredibly simple, but so well executed. And honestly, just a stunning game in terms of just from a graphics perspective.
So, I mean, is this basically like boss battles the game, or is there more to it than that?
Yeah, it kind of is like boss battles the game. I've never really played a game like this where you're literally just fighting a boss, getting sort of sent back through this weird portal back to like your main sort of hub where the sort of god talks to you and tells you what colossi to go after next. And that's really all you're doing is just kind of rinsing and repeating that same kind of method of just taking down these colossi. So it's really strangely simple, but yet I wouldn't say addicting, but it's very engaging because you just want to traverse the world that you're in, which is just so beautiful and majestic. It's kind of like riding through like, I don't know, the hills of Scotland. It's very earthy. Excuse me. There's waterfalls, there's lakes, there's ponds, there's all kinds of interesting things to look at. It's just a beautiful world, but it's extremely large. And I think there's this almost sense of colossusness, which is not even a word. But I just made that up because it's the only thing that just kind of came to my brain.
Yeah.
And everything is just so big. And I think that they created some aspects of the world to be so large to kind of match the sort of enormous colossi that you encounter in this game.
Yeah, they're
and they're huge.
They are huge. Like it's pretty absurd how large these creatures are, and I'm watching clips of this small man climbing up them by grabbing onto their fur, and it's beautiful. Absolutely a beautiful game. Definitely something I need to check out. I can't believe that I haven't played it yet. Honestly, it's tremendous looking. Anyway.
Yeah, it is tremendous looking, and I see this all the time in Discord and to buddies alike. It's so crazy to me that I have a standard PS4, a standard 1080p television, and I'm sure folks are sick of me saying this, but it's true. Like, I have this standard setup that's nothing 4K, 60, groundbreaking PS4 Pro kind of thing, and it looks like that. I literally cannot imagine this game looking any better, and it's crazy to me to think that it actually would look better with that kind of setup.
Yeah, I mean, I think just the difference with the HDR alone, even if you're still rocking the base PS4, you'd notice a pretty tremendous difference.
Yeah. So just stunning work, and I love Blue Point. I'm familiar with their work with the Metal Gear Solid HD collection, which they did a fine job with. And at the time, I really thought they were just some no-name studio that Konami or Kojima hired to do that collection, but they're really coming up into the gaming scene, and hey, now they're doing Demon Souls.
So just to hit some comments from the chat here, Son of a Fitch says he started the game a few years ago, but never finished it, wants to circle back to it. Joe Donuts claims that you do not have 4K eyes as of yet.
I do not.
So I don't know what that would require. Maybe some like laser surgery or something. And Vest Lord shouts out, he thinks the setup already looks like it's HDR, but we are stealing footage from IGN, sir. So apologies for that. Yeah. But this is definitely something that needs to be on my radar as well, too, because it looks amazing. And eventually, like, I'll probably get to it, but maybe not, because that's what I do.
Yeah, it's what we do. And I actually spoke to you and I think Joe about this for sure regarding the controls in the game. Apparently, they didn't change that much from the PS2 version. However, they do have a modern setup. Like when you go into the controls, it's default to modern. Okay. And I don't know if that means that they did change it or not, but I had a really, really difficult time in the beginning, to the point where I was like, oh my God, please tell me I don't have to rage quit this game, because I love everything about it. I don't want the controls to be the bane of my existence when I play it. So I ended up going on YouTube and literally watching other people's tutorials on how to control the horse properly. And I'm glad I did, because now everything is working perfectly.
Sounds like it paid off for you.
It did pay off. Thank God for YouTube. God bless.
YouTube is the cause of and solution to all of life's problems.
Yeah,
I've been playing this game called Katana Zero, which is it's a very, very difficult game to describe. It's like a 2D platformer, but it's also a puzzle game at the same time. Very heavily retro, Outrun kind of inspired. That whole 80s vibe. Everything has that like kind of purple red sheen to it, that neon glow that we love, and the music, the soundtrack is tremendous. It's totally up your alley. But the game, you're basically, you're playing an assassin who's a samurai. He's addicted to some sort of a drug that makes him have the ability to slow down time, rewind time. And the story unfolds in a very vague way. You start to uncover layers to what your background is and where you come from and what this drug is and how many other people have access to it. But when you enter an area, you're essentially, it looks like a VHS tape, right? And you're plotting your movement in real time. You're jumping, slashing, murdering people. If you get shot or hit once, that's a kill. You die, it immediately rewinds you back to the beginning of the scene and you start over. So it's kind of like this, you're figuring out the puzzle as you go, in a manner of speaking. All right, I got to kill this guy at the bottom of the steps. I got to get past these lasers, and I got to jump over to the next guy who has a different type of gun that has longer range, or maybe you have a Molotov cocktail, you could set him on fire. And then once you complete that path, you have the ability to essentially commit it to security tape, and then it'll go black and white, and it'll replay your steps all the way through as if it was recorded on security footage. It's really clever, very interesting. It rewards skill and gives you the opportunity to be creative, but it doesn't punish you too much for failure. Like when you die, just rewind you back. You start that section over. You don't have to start the entire stage over. You don't lose your upgrades. You don't lose life. There are no upgrades to lose. You have a sword. You can, slow down time. You can dodge and roll, through things, and you can do those in combination with each other. It's very forgiving, but it's a lot of fun. I'm really digging it, and the story is super cool. The music is fantastic, really cool. It's a wheels cool game.
Yeah. I was just going to say, actually, this absolutely is already shaping up to be a WCG. I'm watching the footage that we have live on Twitch, and this reminds me a lot of kind of Carry On mixed with like Salt and Sanctuary. It's got that same kind of camera perspective.
Yeah, I mean, it is a 2D side scroller, so it has that going for it, but it's not so much a Metroidvania like Carry On was. It's very much a stage by stage process. So once you may have to backtrack. There's certain sections where you kill your assassination target, and then you have to move your way back through. And sometimes the objectives change. Perhaps the police are on site and you're not supposed to kill any of them, which is super challenging because it's so, I don't want to say it's easy to just slash everybody, but it's a lot easier to kill everybody than it is to not kill anybody.
Sure.
But there's a little bit of stealth mixed in. There's a section I remember where you're in a club and your mission is to kill the DJ, and you have to like blend in with the other dancers at the club. So your character gets like a shadow to him when you're in that situation, and you could just hide, and the security guards that are walking around won't see you. And then when their backs are turned, you kind of solid snake your way over to the next one, and then hide again. And then there's some dialogue trees too, where it gives you the option to kind of control the path that your character has taken. And I haven't explored this too much because it kind of feels like the type of thing where some of the things you say will have an impact, and some of the things you say won't. But you have an option to immediately interrupt any conversation, usually with something vulgar like "fuck you" or just to kind of put a kibosh on the conversation, or you can let the timer kind of increase, and then your options for dialogue will give you like 2 or 3 different choices. And some of those choices can be really harsh, and some of them can be very kind, depending on the situation. And with that particular DJ that you're trying to kill, the guy who gives you the assignment says, "Do not talk to him. Under any circumstances, do not talk to him." And of course, when you bust in, you're getting ready to kill him. He begs for his life. So, So do you talk to him or do you kill him? You get to make that choice.
A lot of the games that you play have interesting decision factors, I've noticed. This just kind of reminds me of some segments of like Papers, Please and stuff.
I like to have something with a little bit of morality, involved in it. So I would definitely call this a Drew's Cool game. I can't even think of the name. DCG, I guess.
DCG, baby.
Yeah. But it's cool. And it's fun. Joe Donis chimes in, Katana Zero was on my radar but fell off just because it looks a lot like so many other games. It's a really crowded genre. What made you decide to play it? Well, first of all, I bought it on the Switch about a year ago. It was on sale for $4 or $5, super cheap. And I'm like, this looks really cool. It looks like something I'd like. I'll get to it someday. And then I backlogged it and started playing other stuff. And then I saw it pop up in Game Pass, and I didn't feel like playing Dead Space, which we've been playing for the Game Club. I didn't feel like playing Nier Automata because that's a huge investment. And I was looking for something that I felt would be a good example to try for xCloud. Because I wanted to give that a shot for the first time. So I was sitting in my living room with my laptop. Nikki was watching the TV. And I'm like, let me pair my controller. Let me try out this game. I have a feeling Katana Zero needs precision. It was available on Games Pass. I fired it up. And not only was I right, the game does need precision, but it was a good test to see how well xCloud worked. And it worked great. Granted, I wasn't on mobile. I was on Wi-Fi. So the perfect situation, but it worked really good and it hooked me immediately. And I'm like, I have to play this game. So I've just kind of stuck with it ever since. And it's been a lot of fun. It's the kind of game that you can go in and play for 10 minutes, put down and walk away. Because each each level has multiple screens, and each screen is its own checkpoint. So it's very forgiving in that way. I don't know how long the game is, but so far I'm thoroughly into it. I can't recommend checking it out enough. And if you haven't bought it, it's on Game Pass. If you have it, it's free. It's a no-brainer.
You know what it actually reminds me of is that game that actually is done by the same devs that made Salt and Sanctuary. It's the dishwasher Vampire Smile or Vampire something.
I remember that.
Kind of reminds me of that.
It's I never did I play the dishwasher? I don't remember if I did.
I think it was an Xbox 360 arcade game.
Yeah, I think I have a copy of that.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it has that same kind of vibe to it.
Yeah, I'm wondering. I have to do some research to see who developed it, because it does kind of feel the same way.
Joe says Xbox Live.
Yeah.
Yep.
So this is one of the fun parts of our podcast where Drew goes to Google.
Yes, it's almost just obligatory at this point.
Xbox One. So let's see here. Yeah, so Dishwasher, Salt and Sanctuary were the same dev. Ska Studios. I don't think it's the same team.
It's not? Oh, you mean for Katana Zero?
Correct.
Yeah, I wouldn't think so.
It's not. Salt and Sanctuary I'm not familiar with. What is that game?
That's a game that came out, I want to say, like 3 or 4 years ago, and it's kind of like Dark Souls in a way, but it has that same kind of camera perspective, this sort of side-scrolling format, and has the same kind of look and feel as Vampire or the Dishwasher.
Huh. I have to check that out. I mean, if it's got like that Souls kind of feel to it, I'll probably hate it though. Let's be honest here. I don't do very well with games that are challenging.
I suppose you're right.
Goodness.
Well, to be fair though, have you ever played a Souls game?
I mean, I played Sekiro at your house.
Yeah, but wasn't that only for like 10 minutes?
Yeah. And I almost broke your controller.
I do actually vaguely remember that. I think you actually just put the controller down and walked away. It was something kind of subtle, but yet very vibrant. I just knew at that point that it probably wasn't going to work.
So Dark Souls 1 is a Games with Gold on the Xbox 360. I've tried that, and I didn't really care for it much because I don't like that kind of universe. It's the dragons, the orcs, the medieval stuff. That's just not for me. But then I tried to kind of push past that, and just the whole experience just wasn't really up my alley. I didn't give it a huge amount of time, I'll admit. I did get past like the first boss where you drop off the ledge and you have to land on top of them and I don't know, stab them with the sword or something.
Plunge attack.
Yeah, something like that. And it was fine. I respect what they're doing. I just don't know that it's for me.
Sure.
Yeah. But
no, I can respect that.
Yeah.
We got folks in chat here saying don't look at Souls as a way to kind of have a reference point for Salt and Sanctuary. And I can't even really comment on that because I've only seen gameplay of Salt. I own it, but of course I haven't played it yet. Because that's what I do. I own games.
If we ever change the name of our podcast, it's going to be I own it, but I haven't played it yet.
Yeah, I'm a master at owning games.
Yeah, me too. Well, why don't we queue up one of our next flashback clips at this point? What do you think?
Let's roll it.
This one comes from one of our famous quotes. And this is from episode 28.
Ah, yes.
You remember this one, right?
Uh-huh.
Here we go. Before we
and eat rinsed blueberries. Wash your fruit.
See evil. Oh God, I'm looking at this cover art for
Dude, can I just say you said that like you were a second grader trying to read like 2 words.
I said it with disdain, sir.
See evil.
Because it's like...
No, excuse me. Apple megaphone. Okay.
I'm astounded by the marketing.
It's so bad.
It's so fucking bad.
Whoever the guy is.
I forgot Carl Urban was in this. Oh my God, that poor man.
Oh, that's tragic. Thank God for Dredd.
Oh my God, he's rebounded so well. I mean,
God bless him.
Dredd, Leonard McCoy in Star Trek. That's about all I can think of. Good for him. Oh yeah, he was in that Almost Human show, which was a great show that Fox fucking canceled after one season. What can you say about See Evil, Will?
Oh my God, what an awful movie. I remember seeing that in theaters, and I don't even really remember now why we brought that up.
Oh my God.
My God, the cover of that film, if anybody is tuning in right now, please just Google it because it's terrible.
Oh man. I did not realize Carl Urban was in that film. Joe just chipped in about that. He certainly has leveled up. He's come a long way from Doom. Was he in a few Lifetime movies? Wow, I did not know that. Hey, listen, if you gotta act, you gotta make some money. You gotta do what you gotta do, right?
Yeah. I mean, he was supposed to have a full Dredd series on Netflix, but I think it got canceled or something, right?
I believe so, yeah. Yeah, I'm a huge fan of him in The Boys. I'm with you right there, Vestlord. And Ragnarok. Thor Ragnarok, he was fantastic in. Almost didn't even realize it was him until I think when I was watching the credits, I was like, what the
Carl Urban.
Yeah, where the hell was he? But he's done some of my all-time favorites. Obviously he was Bones McCoy in Star Trek, the reboots for that, and I thought he did a great job with the character. He was in what the hell was it? I just had it on the tip of my tongue. Oh, there was a show called Almost Human. It was a show on Fox. Short-lived, only had a season, but it was a great show. So Carl Urban's my boy.
Yeah, I mean, even just Dredd the movie, man, absolutely fantastic. I think Damien and some of you guys recommended it to me, and I bought it on Blu-ray without even watching it first, and man, I was blown away.
Yeah, it's a great thing. So let's start talking about some of these next-gen systems that are coming out. You're going for the PS5. I'm going for the Xbox Series X. Tell me about what your plans are with the PS5. How are you going to get one? What's your first day going to be like?
Sure. So I think most know, folks that have been listening to the show and are in Discord, it was kind of a battle at first on deciding, which one am I going to get, digital or physical, right? So I'm still kind of toying with that idea. Most know that the pre-order process was an absolute shit show. I'm pretty sure that they're really hard to find now. So I kind of made up my mind. I want to say I don't know, maybe 2, 3, maybe even a month ago, that I just was going to wait until they're readily available and just kind of walk into a Best Buy or Target or whatever, maybe on like a cold Wednesday afternoon and just walk in, take the day off and just, go to the section where they're going to be. And hopefully there's like 20 of them. And of course I'm going to take the first one, move that one aside, take the one behind it because that's what I do. Because I'm incredibly OCD. And then I'm going to check out with my mask on. I'm going to get my car and I'm going to make sure that, I unbox that thing in privacy because that's what you have to do.
Yeah. So
that's kind of my mindset at this point.
Are you going to put on the fingerprint free gloves? Are you going to go in
anti-static,
dust free zone,
Generally what I like doing is kind of hearkening back to my childhood years where you just kind of sit Indian style alone in a room, no one's around you. If anybody does disturb you, you just kind of
bark at
hit them with you bark at them with profanities and get away. This is my thing. So it's probably gonna be something like that. And it's it's one of those things where you dust off your entertainment system, you make sure that it's ready to be to kind of enter its new home.
Right.
It's a resting place. So ultimately I think that's what I'm trying to do. Now, there's always a possibility that if I was taking a floating holiday or there was a snow day or I just had a day off and I'm bored and they're in stock at Best Buy down the road, 8 minutes away, that could be a problem. That means Will's getting in his car and he's getting a PS5 this year.
So
basically,
Vestlord is offering warnings of never getting it on a warm Wednesday. That's when the goblins show up. So maybe a Thursday or Tuesday is a better choice, but Wednesdays, that's a no-go.
Yeah, so we'll see. But typically, if I'm bored and I'm like, man, I want one, everybody else has one, I usually kind of, suck into the pressure and I cave.
Yeah.
And next thing you know, I'm standing in a line at Best Buy. So we'll see.
So are you going to be like utilizing like a site like Now in Stock to try to keep track of when those are going to be available, or are you just going to kind of let the fates decide when you get one?
I doubt it. I'm not really that kind of consumer. I'm more of the kind of guy that if I am in that mood, I'll just literally go on Best Buy and I'll change the location to be closest to me. And sometimes I'm even that guy that'll drive 25 miles to go and get one. So I'll probably just check in here and there this month and maybe into December, because the hype's going to start really burning up soon. So it's going to be hard to avoid that.
Anything that you're looking forward to playing ASAP?
Honestly, it's kind of like what I said before. Demon's Souls Remake is the only game that I'm really interested in right now this year. Assassin's Creed Valhalla does look intriguing, but there's nothing about it that's saying, hey, Will, you need to pre-order this. You need this day one. You need to play this year. So very curious about Demon's Souls. We're going to talk about that later. But ultimately, right now, it's just kind of a novelty piece. It's going to be, if everybody has it and Will doesn't, again, I might cave, and then it's going to end up sitting there with either no games or just Demon's Souls Remake, which I really have no business playing right now.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I need to stay focused.
Saikoro is talking about pre-orders and how much they suck. He also says that pre-ordering one online always felt very strange to him. I've always gotten one by store purchases.
Right.
So meaning going to the physical store, get your receipt in return, maybe throwing down $5, $50, $100, man. I mean, I can't tell you how many times, we've gone and thrown down a pre-order at like GameStop or FuncoLand back in the day, got to get my Xbox 360, yo. I remember putting in a pre-order for Xbox 360 when when it was supposed to come out, and they were so backed up. I didn't get it until like the following April. It was just bizarre. It was so crazy, but at least they had a queue system in place. It wasn't just like everybody just ran in jamming on F5 as much as possible, hoping for the best, and it is a frustrating experience doing the pre-orders online. It's convenient. It's wonderful that we didn't have to leave our living room, but my God, like these
never again.
The bots are a problem, dude. Like I've looked into figuring out ways that I can run my own purchasing bot just so I can secure myself a copy of the system on launch, or try to help my friends out and not be one of those asshats that resells the system for twice the price. Like, let me just get a couple copies. Let me get you a PS5. Let me get, Jimmy a PS5. Let me get Damien an Xbox, whatever.
Oprah style.
And then, you get one, fucking bees everywhere. And, and then just, all right, the system's $4.99. You owe me $4.99.
Sure.
That's it, but it's like it's a very difficult process to figure out. And, I got lucky. I was able to get my Xbox Series X. I kid you not. I had 5 windows open, and I have dual 27-inch monitors. I had these fucking things docked in every single corner. Jimmy, you're welcome for the PS5. I had Windows docked in every corner. I had Best Buy on one screen, Microsoft on the other screen. I had Target and Walmart, and I just kept, it was like click F5, click F5, click F5, click, and just going around in a circle.
It's absurd.
Hitting each one. I was lucky to get through at Microsoft, and it seemed like it was going to fail. Really thought it was going to crash.
I mean, my PS5 process was really very similar. Basically hell. It's just that game of, I think it was like either 6 or 9 o'clock. I forget what time it was. I had to, kind of get ready.
Right.
And I think I was on Walmart.com, and it just timed out within seconds. I think they hit like some kind of crazy record where they sold out in like 3 minutes or something insane. So,
well, they botched the whole release. from the get-go. Like, they told people it was going to be on sale on Thursday, and then Walmart's like, fuck you guys, let's do it now.
Yeah, it was multiple retailers, right?
Well, one started it, and then everybody else like scrambled to do it as well.
So obviously, and I really don't know the legalities of this, and I think we might have spoken about this before, but are they actually allowed to do that, or is it kind of one of those like weird gray areas where they can't really be stopped?
I'm not sure. If anybody in the chat knows, let us know if this is something that is legal. I mean, clearly nobody's done anything about it. So, unless they've kept it so under wraps that, Kotaku hasn't found out about the lawsuit that Sony dropped on them, But as far as I'm
honestly, it probably is fair game. And the reason why I say this is because Sony announced that they're going to have the pre-orders launched, let's say tomorrow, right? Mm-hmm. But the retailers, they're not affiliated with Sony in any way. No. So I'm pretty sure as long as they have their hands on it, they have the right to sell that product early.
As far as I'm aware, yeah.
And that's just an educated guess. I really have no idea how it works.
Well, I think it's kind of like embargoes, for reviews. Legal action can be taken, but often, for sales like that, often isn't. But mm-hmm. I really don't know. I don't have the answer to that. So.
Yeah. But yeah, either way, terrible.
Yeah,
terrible experience.
I'm definitely looking forward to next Tuesday, though. I already have the day off. It's going to be great.
Smart.
I have to. Well, so first of all, I have Tuesday and Wednesday off because UPS has a habit of showing up at like 6:00 at night at my place. So decided to take both.
Stabbing you in the back.
They really are, man. Those guys are jerks. But no.
Shout out to Jimmy Fitch.
but really, though, I appreciate our delivery drivers right now, especially because we order everything online, especially with COVID. It's even worse. But,
yeah.
I'm going to be moving my Xbox One X into the GameStop. I'm going to be hooking that up to a 1080p television, a 46-incher. It's not going to be pretty, but I'm going to have that nice little cloud save gaming going on here. I can, play the Series X on the 4K TV, 65 inches in its beautiful glory. It just doesn't do 120 frames per second at 4K. That's the only downside. And like, I'm kind of getting that TV envy. Like, I'm watching all these videos and it's like, oh man, now I want to buy a new TV.
Oh yeah.
How am I going to convince Nikki that we need another 65-inch TV? And the answer is I'm not going to, because she'll divorce me.
Exactly. Yeah. Because you can't just be like, well, it's PS5 ready or it's Xbox One Series X ready. You just can't. And but that's the problem, is they're coming out with these lines and series of TVs that are apparently kind of tuned up and calibrated for these systems.
Right. Well, it's something that the PC gaming market has already had for quite some time, from what I understand. 120 frames per second is not new. It's just taken this long for consoles to be able to do it at an affordable level.
Yes.
And I'm proud to see that it is finally hitting that point, because the gap between consoles and PCs shrinks a little more each generation. And, we've talked about it before in the past. We're console gamers. Nothing against PC. I do PC game. I enjoy PC gaming. But my computer is very much a workstation for me. And when I'm playing my console, I want to sit back in my recliner with a controller in my hand, a beer in the cup holder, and just chill. And I can't get that same experience on a PC, not without like ruining my back support. So
yeah. Got to have that lumbar support, dude.
Yeah. But I'm not even sure that like the Series X is going to fit in my entertainment center, which is hugely depressing.
Yeah. I think a lot of folks are facing that same kind of dilemma and planning schedule surrounding both systems. I mean, we know the PS5 is enormous. It's basically a skyscraper of a modem.
Oh my God. It's the size of my torso.
Yeah. And then you have the Xbox Series X, which is, not equally as large, but it's large in its own way.
It is. It's a chunky boy.
It's a chunky boy. And most entertainment systems generally have a specific width to their shelving setup. So, is this thing going to be vertical next to your TV? Likely not, because most people's TVs are taking up the whole entertainment system shelf. So it'll be interesting to kind of see some setups on YouTube on where people are placing this thing.
Yeah, we have a Popple monolith versus a mini fridge, says Sephiroth, and he's not wrong. You know, the way my setup is, we have 3 IKEA bookshelves that we've kind of configured to make, looks almost like a Tetris kind of board.
Billy's, right?
They're no, they're not Billy's. It's a different model, but they do have the same kind of wood grain to them.
Snorgason or something.
Yeah, that one. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so the ones on the left and on the right are just squares, right? We have it's 2x8, and then the one in the middle has some shelves that are kind of different heights, different widths. So it's good to fit like a DVD player or maybe a basket. We have a couple baskets with remotes in it. I used to have my Xbox on one side and my PS4 on the other. I am severely doubtful that I know the PS5 will not fit, full stop. Doesn't matter where I put it. The Xbox might not fit. And I'm not sure if I'm going to have to move that out from underneath the TV and put it in one of the units on the side. Those are a little bit more squared off. I'm not entirely sure. I have 0 room to the side of my TV or underneath my TV. So if it's not going in the entertainment center, it's going to have to go literally on top of it next to my speaker. And that's like the last place I want to put it.
Yeah, with the cats and everything.
Yeah, especially with the cats. But, I'm going to be moving the Xbox One in to the GameStop, and, we'll see how it goes.
I think that's all we can really do. I mean, we most of us probably have access to measurements, right, and dimensions of these systems, so we could kind of pre-plan.
You would think that I would do that, but I haven't. And
I think, well, that's just it. And I think a lot of folks probably know that they could do that, but they're not really thinking about it, and rightfully so. They're just thinking, I want this thing, and I'll figure it out when we get there. Right. So it'll be interesting, like I said, to kind of see where people are putting this thing. It's going to be a good Discord discussion for sure.
Very much. I'm tempted to try to do an unboxing of the Xbox when I get it. Also, just considering the size of it, I do have a light box, which I used for my Command & Conquer unboxing. So I'm tempted to try to use that again. But
good video. Check it out, folks.
Thank you. But I just don't know that it'll fit in the light box. So we'll see.
Yeah.
And then, of course, everybody else has already done unboxings. So, why the fuck would you want to see another one, right?
Yeah. Well, I'll probably do something interesting. I might vlog myself going to Best Buy the day that I go get the PS5. So come up with something interesting.
Very cool. Well, let's cue over to another flashback clip, shall we?
Roll it.
All right. This one is from episode 18, where I say goodbye to a beloved friend.
Oh, boy.
Here we go. On Friday, March 15th, 2019, 3 days after the recording of this episode, Drew Koselik's Xbox One breathed its last breath. Purchased at launch, this Day 1 edition system played a number of great games, including Doom, Gears of War 4, Plants vs. Zombies, Quantum Break, Titanfall 1 and 2, Halo 5, Tomb Raider, and Destiny 1 and 2. In its place rises a new challenger, an Xbox One X. Is there a significant difference? Find out next week on Will and Drew's Gaming Retrospective. Man, that was heartbreaking seeing that system go.
Fun fact about this, Drew, when I was pulling clips, I discovered this almost for the first time in a way, because I actually either didn't know about it or I completely forgot that we had made that little clip. But I was laughing hysterically, and I was like, this is definitely going in.
Yeah. Yeah, man, it was heartbreaking, because I was very proud to have this Day 1 edition Xbox One with the Day 1 edition controller and all that stuff. And It was worth about $5 at the Microsoft store, but I got a great deal on the One X, and I'm glad I did the trade in because now, Puxor, who's one of the guys in our Discord chat, has talked about some games really struggling with the base system. And, that's kind of something that you don't really expect so much when you go from generation to generation. When you have the Super Nintendo, you expect all the revisions of the Super Nintendo are going to play the games the same way, or the PlayStation or the PlayStation 2, and then to go from this generation, we went from the Xbox to the Xbox One to the Xbox One X, and we went from the PS4 to the PS4 Pro, where there were noticeable increases in graphics, loading time, things like that. It just never occurred to me that towards the end of the generation, other games would get left in the dust, and that has absolutely been the case. And even with the revisions that we have on the PS4 Pro and the Xbox One X, there are still some games that are kind of struggling, and it's becoming more and more apparent that it's time for a new console.
Yeah, we actually have Damien that is requesting that I play taps on Didgeridoo. That's going to be a challenge.
Yeah, I don't know how you would do that.
I suppose it might be possible.
Yeah.
But I have not touched that thing. You know what? I did touch it today, but only just to move it. I haven't played that in quite some time.
Speaking of Didgeridoo, we do have a clip of a Didgeridoo.
We do, don't we?
We do. This one's from episode 50. Let's play it.
Let's roll it.
This is our new theme song, everybody. Welcome to Will and Drew's Gaming Retrospective, episode 50. That is Will on the Didgeridoo. And we are surrounded by our best friends.
We're family. What are you talking about?
We're surrounded by family right now.
That's right.
And we are doing a round table for our 50th. Our 50th. And Will, this is awesome.
I can't believe it's even happening.
Yeah.
This is happening. We're sitting here. We're at a break table.
Yep.
Yeah. A foldable break table.
It's not a break room table. It's a break table.
It's a beer pong table.
But it also goes in a break room.
I just needed I really should have gotten a tablecloth.
Yeah.
But
one of those cheap vinyl-y ones.
Yeah, like America.
Oh my God. No,
yeah.
America.
It rips as soon as you open it.
Walmart for $1.
Sorry, Joe. If you think your cats are being upset by the recording, imagine what my cats are going through the day of when it was happening in our living room.
Oh my God, my cats hate it. But when they're misbehaving, I just whip that thing out, put some air through it, and they stop biting wires. So
we're talking about your didgeridoo, right?
Oh yeah.
Okay. Just making sure. But man,
open the door on that one.
Episode 50 was such a blast to record. We had some of the guys that are in the Discord or in the chat room right now, Saikoro, Vortex, Dave, who I don't think he's in the stream at the moment. He was there. Vency. It was a 6-person round table. It was a blast. We made a day of it. We got lunch. We went out and we recorded for 4 hours straight. And I felt like we still could have kept going if we just ran out of energy drinks.
Yeah. There's a lot going on that day. There was alcohol, energy drinks, Cokes, cookies, Halloween candy.
Yeah. I mean, it was pretty crazy, but it was a lot of fun. And, like we said at the top of the hour, if we could have done something like that right now, I think we probably would have, but
yeah, it's likely.
This will have to do. So
yeah.
Let's see here. What do you want to talk about next? We got a few other topics here. What do you want to
take a look,
or do you want to take a quick break?
You know what? Let's take a quick break. I'll get some more juice in the air.
All right.
And yeah, we'll come back in, what do you say, 5?
Yeah, so we'll be back in 5 minutes, folks. We do have some cool sounds from Will_Gear on SoundCloud. What's that URL, Will?
Yeah, so it's soundcloud.com/Will_Gear.
All right, we'll be back in 5.
Can you hear me? Testing.
Welcome back to episode 100 of Will and Drew's Gaming Retrospective. Will, you had some technical issues during the break.
I did. I had to charge my MacBook Air just a little bit, and I'm not even sure how much I got out of it.
So, for everybody that's listening, please, what exactly is happening right now? I don't even know how to kick it over. It's like, what the fuck is going on?
All right. So first of all, you can hear me loud and clear, right?
You sound beautiful. Okay,
perfect. That's the goal. Excuse me. I was like shoving potato chips in my mouth on our 5-minute intermission. So, hey, that's honesty, man. So I have a MacBook Air.
I had a Crunch Bar. It was a little guy, but anyway, MacBook Air, go.
Yeah, MacBook Air, and I have this little dongle that goes into the USB-C port, and the microphone, which is USB, goes into that. However, this little dongle actually blocks the second USB-C port, which is used for charging. So I can't charge and do this at the same time. So I had to get a little bit of juice on our break, and I probably only got like maybe, I don't know, 2 or 3%. So we'll see.
Well, if all of a sudden you sound like you're in a tin can, we'll understand why, and we will learn to forgive.
Yeah. But yeah, hopefully it lasts.
Yeah, I think we'll be okay, man. I mean, we do have a lot of stuff to talk about, though. We have more flashback clips ready. We have some great topics coming up. What do you say we throw over to another flashback clip real quick?
Sounds good to me. Let's roll it out.
All right, this one's from episode 87, where you start talking about something that you're eating, and our guest at the time, Dave, really didn't care for it.
Oh, this is a good one.
This is a good one. What are you eating, Will?
Hang on.
He has to prepare this.
I do.
Are you taking a photo? Of course you are.
No, I'm not. I'm actually not. It's veggie and flaxseed corn tortilla chips with spinach and artichoke hummus.
Oh, that's disgusting.
Oh my, Drew, I'm gonna lose my fucking mind, dude. I'm gonna lose my fucking mind. Dave, you are required to do two things right now. One, you need to apologize sincerely. And two, you need to tell me that, that I am the healthiest person that you know. Sincerely.
Okay,
Those
listen.
two things you must do.
Oh my
Listen,
god.
For starters, Will, I deeply apologize for my comment about your snack choices. All right.
Apology accepted.
As far as your second request, I would love to say that, but I know a man named Brian.
Oh god, Brian.
And he is certainly the healthiest person I know.
Will, how did it make you feel when Dave told you that you were not the healthiest person he knows?
Oh my God, I was mortified. I was insulted temporarily. But as you know, that particular clip, I was so fired up that day.
Oh my God.
Just because of a previous conversation we had off air. And I was just at my limit, man. And that was just like the icing on the cake for me. I just lost it.
I have a confession. I told Dave to do that.
Did you really?
Yeah.
Oh man,
because I knew you were so wound up, and I was like, Dave, you gotta fuck with this guy a little for me.
He did that well, man. I would have had no idea until you just told me that was all planned. You bastards!
Oh my god. Yeah, Dave and I, we have a tendency to get each other into trouble very easily. So.
I will learn from this. I will definitely learn from this.
Oh man. So we've kind of touched base on our expectations for the next generation of consoles. And next week, the Xbox Series X. God damn it, Microsoft, fix your names.
Xbox 5. Just give it a number.
That'd be fine. I would be totally fine with that. Call it it's just they don't want to be one behind Sony. I don't know, but who cares? Anyway, the new systems are coming out, right? There's a lot of games that are on the horizon. Some we don't know so much about. Some we know a ton about. And let's talk about some of them, shall we?
Yeah, absolutely.
So I know you have a list of games here. Pick one of the games from your list that you'd like to dive into day one. Well,
sure.
not dive into day one, but something that you're really looking forward to, right? Something that you cannot wait to play.
Okay. I mean, honestly, I would probably go with God of War Ragnarok. And here's a title that I never really thought that I would ever be interested in. But after playing God of War, it was this year.
Yeah.
Obviously late to the party there. This is a 2018 game, I believe. I had such a tremendous experience with it that when God of War Ragnarok was announced at the end of, I think, the last Sony presser, I was so excited, along with everybody else that played the game. So it felt good to be part of that hype when that teaser was announced and shown. And granted, we've spoken about this before. It's such a short teaser, but man, is it sweet. And, you kind of have Kratos' voice chiming in. You don't hear anything about Atreus. He could be speaking about Atreus. It's really kind of hard to tell. But I think there's a lot of theories going around that are really interesting. And I'm kind of curious to see if Atreus is going to be fully playable. Is he going to be the main protagonist? Or will he just be more playable than before? So there's a lot of questions to be raised, a lot to be answered. And for anybody who's played the God of War game that came out in 2018, there is no chance that you would not be excited for this. Yeah. So I'm absolutely pumped.
Recently we had Zach on the show, and he's been giving me a ton of shit ever since about having not played the game. I bought a copy of it many Black Fridays ago for pretty good price, and it's just been kind of sitting on my shelf along with all the other games that I buy, because that's what I do. And I really thought that 2020 was going to be the year for me to play it, especially with the lockdowns and everything that we've had. And it just simply hasn't been the case. I have not spent as much time with that particular game. I haven't spent any time with it. So I want to. I really want to. But at this point, maybe I should just wait for, until I get a PS5 so I could play it on the PS5 with the improved graphics or whatever ends up becoming of it,
I think you should do that. I mean, I wouldn't say it's a huge undertaking because it's not. It's only about a 25-hour game. I want to say maybe 30. And it's not a giant open world. So
Right.
there's missions that you have to do, and there's some side quests, but it's very balanced. It's very it keeps you on the direction, the right path that you need to go on for the campaign and the main story. So
Yeah.
I think it does a really good job at that. And honestly, I think that's why the game did so well, because you don't get sidetracked that easily. At least for me, I felt like I was very focused on the main story, and I don't think I even really did that much on the side.
Okay. I mean, the idea of playing a linear story really is appealing to me. My troubles with open world games are pretty well documented at this point, and some of the games on my list are open world, and it just kind of scares me a little bit thinking about diving into something like that and what my track record is with actually completing it. Like, I'm still waiting to finish Horizon Zero Dawn.
Yeah.
And I always say that I'm going to. I haven't.
Yeah. I mean, I think God of War, I had to commit to it. I think that kind of goes for anybody, but I mean, for us, for games like that, we really have to knuckle down and just do it. And if it wasn't for Zach hyping me up in the game, I probably wouldn't have played it either ever, or I would have played it many years later, just because I was never really that interested in the whole axe mechanic, and the whole game looked very different from some of the previous iterations,
Right.
which I don't even really have that much experience with. So all I can say is I'm glad I played it. I think that everybody should play it. I think it's an extremely accessible game. And it's one of those games that, is so rare to say this, but I think it's impossible to not like it, which is a bold statement, but I think the game is that good that if anybody just says this game is trash, I mean, they need to really work on their criticism.
Yeah. Joe chimes in and he says, I think you'll just have to start the game and you'll be good from there. It pulls you in immediately. And, I think I need a game like that to do that, because as you've talked about, games that aren't just hooking you and holding on to you like Child of Light did, I'm kind of in a similar boat. I need to find a game that's just going to grab me by the balls and not let go until I'm done with it. And, I've been kind of bouncing around a little bit lately since Last of Us 2. I haven't really found a game that just kind of hooked me. I did a couple games that were shorter because I needed that mental break, and I'm glad I did. But since then, I've just been kind of floundering, trying to figure out what to play next, and I've been jumping from game to game, and it's been tough. So
yeah, it's challenging. It's like our game collections are kind of like browsing Netflix, right? It's the same kind of idea.
Right.
What do we watch? So much good stuff.
I mean,
yeah. For folks that don't listen to the show very often, that is Drew's GameStop, or at least part of it behind him.
Yeah, this is only like the retro section. It doesn't even include the the PlayStation and the Xbox games, which are on a completely different shelf that are out of frame. And over here I have the TurboGrafx and the Dreamcast. And anyway, I'll do a tour sometime. But
yeah, I tell you folks, and I've said this before, when you physically walk into that room, it brings me so much joy. And it really is, because it's like you're walking into a Funko Land, you're walking into a retro game shop.
Thank you.
And there's so much around you that I just want to, pick up and grab and just look at. You've got a fat PS3 in there, man. That thing is enormous. I forgot how shiny and large that is.
And heavy.
Yeah. And it's crazy because I had one, but when I was over there last, I remember picking it up and I was like, Jesus Christ, I don't remember this thing being a boat anchor.
Yeah. Sony has a habit of developing some chunky boys, apparently.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to playing Cyberpunk 2077. This is a game that's been on my radar for a long time, and I am fearful of this game for a lot of reasons, but I'm very excited about the idea of playing it as well too, because it combines a lot of the same things that I like. I like that kind of neo-noir, near future, dystopian, neon lights, your it's like that mix of like Blade Runner and like Mad Max, I guess you could.
It's the 80s aesthetic.
The 80s aesthetic really draws me in. I've never played The Witcher. I know people absolutely adore The Witcher, and it's highly regarded by a lot of people. The Witcher, as I've said, with like Demon Souls and other games, that aesthetic is not for me. That world is not for me. But the world of Cyberpunk, I think, could be for me. But then I've been seeing like a lot of the commercials for the game lately, and it just kind of screams Grand Theft Auto. And I am concerned. I'm really nervous that that's essentially what it's going to become. I don't like Grand Theft Auto. I have too much stuff to do, and I do none of it. And this is kind of giving me that same vibe. It's like I need a game that kind of keeps me on track, that maybe has a few side quests. I need a game that is going to be a little bit less than 70 hours, and this is looking like it's going to be like 120. So I'm nervous, but
yeah,
I like the idea of it being an RPG. Hopefully they lean into that heavily, because I like to feel like I'm making my character grow and improve, and working towards a specific a goal, whether it's
sure,
strength, dexterity, whatever the case is.
Progress you can see,
and I have a feeling that they're going to lean into that. I'm hoping they do. But the story also seems like it's pretty interesting too. And like, we're watching the video that's playing now, they're showing a cutscene of your character being essentially assaulted by the police, or he's being arrested, and some shit happens after that. And I'm really curious. I want to know more. And the delays have been unfortunate, but I'm willing to wait. I think if it means giving us a game that's good and not broken, then I'm all for it. But I'm disappointed, because I was really looking forward to firing this thing up in November, and that's not going to happen now.
Yeah, my take on Cyberpunk is, it's obviously an extremely ambitious game, right? So, there's a lot of hype around it, a lot of marketing, and then you have Keanu Reeves that just blew everybody away.
Yeah.
That was a really cool announcement, but
it was.
And then you have the delay. So when you kind of mix all that together, I think that's where a lot of the curiosity is derived from, and the skepticism as well. I think we're at this point now where we don't really know what this game is anymore. Some people just really want to play it for that particular aesthetic that you spoke of, and then others, want to play it for different reasons. But I think, again, very ambitious, and sometimes that can be good, and sometimes it can raise a lot of questions.
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll see what happens in December. If it gets pushed back again, like, that's not going to be the end of the world for me, because the backlog is infinite, and there's plenty of stuff for me to play.
Yes.
But at the same token too, I do think that people are starting to get frustrated right now, and they're kind of getting sick of the delays. And CD Projekt Red has a lot on their shoulders right now. There's,
sure.
I don't know all the details, but there's been some accusations about transphobia within the group, and some other issues there. And I don't know a lot about it, so I can't speak on it. But that's unfortunate if it's true. They shouldn't be happening. And they're not based out of America, so that doesn't help. I know some countries are a little bit more unforgiving with those sorts of issues, unfortunately, and I'm pretty sure Poland is one of them.
Yeah, and that's what's interesting now about the gaming industry, right? We're finding out all these little tidbits and sort of news stories that sort of leak out onto the internet about these game studios.
Yeah.
And I feel like that wasn't really a hot topic, back when you and I were growing up playing games, and now it's kind of normal when you hear about a particular studio that was dealing with sexual harassment, or a particular phobia that they have, or just a particular viewpoint that might not sit well with others.
I mean, people have voices now that they didn't have,
Yes.
If you wanted to get the word out of that while we were kids, well, first of all, you and I were probably not aware of what was going on around us in those terms, right? I had no idea transphobia existed.
Mhm.
or race. I didn't understand those things. But now
Too busy having fun.
right. As you're 10 years old, and it's like, well, what the fuck? I'm going to go outside and play, or I'm going to play a video game. Why do I care about politics? Why do I care about what's happening around me in the world? How does it affect people? You don't understand that when you're that age. But now, we're adults, and these things have real life consequences and impacts in real people. And they have a voice. They have Twitter, they have Facebook, they have Reddit, they have YouTube. Everybody has a way of getting their message out and bringing light to the darkness.
That's true. Yeah, there's a lot more power now to have a voice and to have information just become widely available.
Right.
So we'll see. I think it's again a very ambitious project. I'm looking forward to seeing how it shapes up. And I suppose the delay isn't that bad in hindsight, but either way, this year is just full of bad news and delays. So I can understand a little bit of disappointment there.
It is. Hit me with another game. Well, what's next on your list?
Absolutely. Why don't we talk about? Let me just look here. Elder Scrolls 6.
Elder Scrolls 6. All right. So, what do you know about this game so far?
Not much, just like everybody else. So here's the thing. Everybody knows I'm a huge Skyrim fan. I didn't play Morrowind. I didn't play any of the other titles. But I'm a huge fan of Skyrim. And with this new one coming, I saw a teaser trailer, I don't know what, 2-3 years ago, whenever it was that they debuted it. And it shows this just massive, massive mountainous world, which obviously is very appealing for anybody who's played these games because it just reeks of like, okay, this is going to be, 30 times bigger than Skyrim, which is kind of hard to believe.
Yeah.
I think it's going to likely show off next gen consoles extremely well from a sort of graphics perspective, as well as potentially even multiplayer and co-op. Two different features that were not present with Skyrim, but I think have been really requested over the years. I'm sure they're going to have DLC, and once again, this trailer, it's short, but there's a lot of sweet content there. And I'm just curious to see when it's going to come out, because there's a lot of folks that are saying, okay, this game is still so early in development. We may not see it for 2, 3, 4 more years, which I suppose I'd be okay waiting for. But man, I'd love to see this 2021, maybe around like Christmas time, where it gets all cozy and I can escape my reality to dissolve myself into this game.
Yeah, I mean, it's also difficult to have a conversation about this game without acknowledging that Microsoft now owns Bethesda.
Right, and that's a huge thing too.
And while I think it's hard for me to picture them shutting Sony out of this one, it's not hard for me to picture them shutting Sony out of the next one. So, I mean, are you expecting to see any sort of day one privileges on Microsoft versus Sony, or perhaps not having access to the game at all?
I wouldn't be surprised if something weird happens. Yeah. Because of that partnership that is now in place. I would imagine effective immediately. I wouldn't be surprised if they get early access to DLC or early access to the game. There's going to be something. I doubt that this is just going to be a worldwide, a same day release window for absolutely everything. There'll be some catches, and it is what it is. If it comes to PS5 later, or PS5 doesn't get some certain features, we'll see. If those features are bold enough for me to get an Xbox Series X, then that I may do that, because I guess a lot of it depends on how this game is going to shape up, and there's just so little information to go off of that I think it's really hard right now for me to make those kind of calls.
Right. I think that's fair to say too, and that was kind of going to be my next question. Like, is this the type of game that would make you consider picking up an Xbox? And it sounds like the answer is yes.
The answer is absolutely yes. If it's anything like Skyrim, and then just literally 30 times bigger and better, then your boy's probably getting an Xbox Series X.
Yeah. Vortex chimed in. They said future Bethesda games don't have to be on Sony, and yes, I've heard that as well too. Joe says Will is going to play Elder Scrolls 6 remastered on PS6 probably. So
That's a likely possibility, as sad as that sounds.
yeah, oh man, that would just be hilarious.
We'll see.
But Vortex, the issue is that Will's on a ancient Mac from like 2004. So
this is true. This is half true.
half true. Yeah, so you'd have to build a PC if you don't want to buy an Xbox. But honestly, like if you're looking for value, you really can't go wrong, in my opinion. So
yeah. It was interesting actually, just to kind of segue. When I was in Best Buy on was it Saturday? Yes, I went there real quick just to look at some stuff. And even though I don't have 4K eyes, Joe, I was able to see some 4K TVs, and my God, do they look good. But I also looked at some custom PCs just kind of on the way out, and man, those things have really taken off.
Well, you just can't buy one unless it has RGB.
RGB?
Yeah, the lights, everything.
Oh, right.
Glowing RAM, glowing fans, glowing keyboard, glowing mouse, glowing monitor, glowing everything.
Yeah, well, when I had a gaming custom PC, I thought it was the coolest thing in the world. It was mostly black and blue. I had the lights in there and everything, and I was constantly upgrading fans and memory and all this kind of stuff, and it was fun. But the ones that even Best Buy have they're pretty nice.
Yeah. I think the custom PC market has come a long way into the pre-built market as well, for sure.
Yeah, I wouldn't. I'll just kind of say this as a final statement. I wouldn't say that there's never a chance that I would get a gaming PC again, like a custom PC. I think it could happen in my lifetime for sure.
Yeah, I'd be surprised, but I think it's wise to say never say never.
Correct.
So, all right. So for me, let's go to Dirt 5. This is a game that I had no idea that I wanted until I started watching videos of it. And let's be completely honest here, man. Racing games on brand new systems is sexy. I don't know what it is, man. When I get a brand new system, I get my racing game fix out of the way early, maybe a sports game fix out of the way, and then I just move on. I never look back. So like I had on the Xbox One Need for Speed. I played the shit out of that for like a couple months, and then I never touched it again. It's still on my shelf, untouched. I'm cool with that. But
sounds about right.
This game looks fun. This game looks a lot like it's a lot of fun, and it does run at 3 different performance levels. There's one of them that has 120 frames per second, which my TV will not be able to take advantage of, but that's okay. There is a 4K version. There's a 60 frames per second version, and no matter which one I choose, I think I'm going to be in for a treat. And plus, it's an arcade racer, and arcade racers are always awesome. I'm just not a sim guy, so
I would have never really pegged you for playing any kind of racing game because we never really talk about it.
Well, it's not something that I go to on the regular. I have like my racing games that I kind of like, and I get them out of the system, out of my system really quick. So Burnout, I played the shit out of Burnout. Burnout 3 and Burnout Paradise were incredible games. Love them, just absolutely love them. That white knuckle kind of feeling. And then when Forza came out, I tried Forza and it was way too technical for me. So I'm all about the arcade racers. Give me like just a silly, stupid arcade racer where I can like drift my way to number one using physics that don't exist. And I'm on board. But
yeah, I'm with you on that.
The minute you start figuring in like, tire pressure and like traction on wet roads and stuff, like you can go get fucked.
Yeah, aka Gran
Turismo, Forza, even Forza Horizon, which is way more arcadey. It's still a little too realistic for my taste. And like I'm watching this clip of Dirt right now. This guy is just kicking mud everywhere, sliding around these corners. I guarantee you half these people are getting pegged in the face by rocks.
Oh, easily. Yeah, I think ultimately, man, there's always every gamer always has a place and a time to play a racing game. It's one of those games that no one's ever going to be like, you know what, I don't do that.
Yep.
If it's Gran Turismo, then sure. But if it's some kind of arcade racer, then I'm definitely going to play. And it's typically not my wheelhouse, but
they're fun.
they are fun. There's no doubt about it.
You find a game that just you pick it up if you know what the controls are before you even start the game.
Yep.
and that's all you need. We got some honorable mentions to some great games in the chat too. Rally Sport Challenge from Saikoro. Let's see here, Crazy Taxi. Hot Shot Racing, Project Gotham Racing, Metropolis Street Racer. We're getting some deep cuts now. Rad Racer, why not Rad Racer?
No, I'll tell you right now, Crazy Taxi in the arcade, absolutely amazing.
Yeah. I miss playing that game. But remember when we were at Barcade, they had the stand-up one. Oh, that was just ridiculous.
I was just going to say, we were playing some kind of, was it Daytona or something when we were at Barcade?
Well, you and I raced in Daytona, but they had Crazy Taxi as a stand-up version. I remember watching Damien try to play it, and he was like stomping on the gas and the brake so hard that the whole damn cabinet was shaking.
Sounds like Damien.
So he just chimed in the chat. You can't crazy dash in the upright version, and he's
Yeah.
probably right.
I can't imagine that, man. That game does not sound fun standing up.
No, I can't.
It's all about the experience and being able to do that sitting down the way that it was meant to be.
Yeah.
You just can't beat that.
Well, I mean, you don't drive a car standing up, so.
No, you don't.
All right, what's next on your list, Will?
I'm going to go with, I would say, Black Myth Wukong.
Black Myth Wukong.
Yes. A game that we have spoken about before briefly on one of our episodes. A game that looks a lot like Sekiro.
Mm-hmm.
Very well could be like a Souls-like game. I think that's fair to say. As mentioned before, I think the mythology is very interesting to me. Anything to do with like Buddhism or Japanese culture and mythology just kind of interests me. And I think this is a little bit more Chinese-based, as I believe it's a Chinese developer.
Mm-hmm.
As far as I know, it's a completely new IP. It's based on some kind of novel or movie. I cannot really remember, but it is based on something, maybe an anime. Not entirely sure. Chat, you can help if you do know. But my God, does this game look good? And to me, it looks like a next-gen game. And I really hope that we see this on PS5. I'm sure we will, but there's a good chance that this could just be a straight-up PS4 game. So we really don't know.
They've only announced it for the PS4 so far?
I actually don't remember. I don't even know if they announced it for anything in particular yet. It's been a while since I've watched the trailer and read up on it, on the game itself. But when this game was announced, everybody just kind of lost their shit because not only do the cinematics and the lighting just look superb, but the gameplay itself, I think, is kind of what a lot of folks are craving, which is this beautiful mix of Sekiro mixed with, I don't know, like a Platinum's game or a Platinum Games style sort of action sequences sort of orchestrated within the controls. So either way, man, it's just a very interesting looking game. And as you can see in the video, there's segments where you're flying around as a cicada and you can instantly transform out of that into this sort of monkey form. So I just find it to be very, very unique. And I think that's what the industry needs right now.
Yeah, the thing that kind of caught me off guard is it seems like this is going more in the direction of Chinese mythology versus Japanese mythology. And we don't see that very often.
We don't. We're so used to seeing like feudal Japan with, Sekiro or Tenchu or even Ghost of Tsushima. So it's nice to see something just different. You got this monkey dude with this staff. He can spin it around, and there's just everything just looks so sharp and fun. And again, I hate to reference Sekiro so much, but it's the only game that I feel like, kind of comes close to this kind of combat that we see here.
I don't think it's out of line to reference it because it's a very similar art style. It definitely reminds me of that game, and like just the not just the point of view that you're following behind the character, but just the sheen that everything has. There's kind of like this, not quite a fog, but like a haze, I guess.
Yeah, like a mist.
A mist. Yeah, I think that's a good way to put it. I mean, this is just gorgeous. This guy is now getting ready to light him up with some fire staff.
Yeah.
Work.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it's really really cool. Saikoro and Vortex agree that it's essentially Sanson modernized. I'm not familiar with that.
And it's also the animations I think are worth noting. I mean, the animations in Sekiro were just excellent, and what we see here is very similar to, again, a combination of a sort of FromSoft a quality level of sort of animations, which are just very well thought out.
Mm-hmm.
And typically you don't see these kind of animations in a lot of action games.
That's true. That's true. Hopefully it comes to PS5. I really hope that it does. And hopefully it comes to Xbox as well, too. I'd be disappointed if it's only on one platform.
Yeah, I'd like to see this on both. I think it would just be fair. And this is a game that I think people should be playing. I mean, just look at it.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's talk about my next game. Well, I get the clip ready here. Let's talk about Tetris Effect Connected.
Oh my gosh. If it wasn't for you, man, I probably would have known about this game.
I am super excited. This is a clip also from IGN, so you're going to see some of their branding on there. But it does show some of the multiplayer modes, and this game looks awesome. Tetris Effect was one of my favorite versions of Tetris that's ever been made. It is an absolute pleasure to play on the PS4. I'm glad that it's finally coming to Xbox, and it's going to be on Game Pass on day one. They are including multiplayer modes, and some of these modes are really unique. It's really clever the way they set this up. They have this one mode called Connected where you could play. It's basically a team of 3 team up and fight against like an AI boss. It's really clever the way they have it.
That's awesome.
And then there's something called Zone Battle, which is like a one-on-one match of a standard competitive Tetris, but it has Tetris Effect's time stopping zone mechanic as well, which is really cool. There's a score attack, which is just your basic versus mode where you're competing for high scores. And then there's a variation of score attack called classic score attack, and it uses the rules of Nintendo's NES Tetris. So there's no hard drop, there's no hold Q. It's completely random tetromino generation. They lock in just instantly when they touch a surface. And then it also reskins the board to look like the NES Tetris as well, too. Gives you that old school pixelated look. Now,
love it.
The good news is if you don't get an Xbox, this is all going to come to the PS4 in the summer of 2021. And I believe it's going to be free. I don't think there's going to be a charge. So keep your copy of the game because you will have an opportunity to play with these existing features at some point. But man, I'm super excited. I never thought of Tetris as being like a heavily desired launch title, but fucking A, it is.
Well, after anybody who's played Tetris Effect is going to be excited for this. I mean, Tetris Effect was and is a remarkable achievement in my opinion. I think Tetris can be seen as kind of repetitive and boring, but Effect just makes it so transcendental in a way. It's so. I think we spoke about before, it's kind of spiritual in a way. There's a lot of like Zen moments about it. And I think it's one of those games that's great to kind of play before you're taking on something like a giant open world game, or maybe it's like how you cap off your night,
Totally.
It's just amazing. And it's great to show to people too. It's a good like demo game, like check out this 4K Tetris game that I've got here with dolphins swimming around in the background and exploding.
Yeah, no, very much so. I mean, the thing with Tetris for me, it's never really been a competitive game when it comes to playing with other people. I've always used it as a means of relaxation, just taking a moment to kind of zone out, play the game, be in my own headspace, and not worry about what anybody else is doing. So like when Tetris 99 came out, I tried it out and it's really cool and I like it and I respect what it's doing, but I'm not looking for a competitive Tetris experience. I'm looking for a relaxing Tetris experience, and Tetris Effect just completely nailed that. Between the music, the visuals, everything about it is just perfect. And even when the game gets complicated and ramps up that difficulty level and the blocks are just dropping constantly, you're struggling to keep up with it. It's still like just Zen. I don't know.
Yeah, and you never really get that mad. I don't think I've ever gotten mad. I mean, I've been a little disappointed that maybe I couldn't compete with some of the challenges, but it never made me want to rage quit. I would just go to something that was a little bit easier, and you still kind of keep that nice, relaxed vibe that the game gives you. And yes, the music is masterful.
It really
and
is.
That's sugarcoating it, really.
Yeah, agreed. What's next for you?
Sure. Let's take a look at my list here. Battlefield 6.
All right. Well, we don't have a video for Battlefield 6 because I tried to download one before, and apparently it was not Battlefield.
It was not real. Yeah. I mean, yeah, we caught that the last minute, folks.
Yeah.
And it was funny because I have really done not a whole lot of research on BF6. But from what I understand, there's only one, and it's not even really a trailer. It's just sort of like a developer diary of sorts. And I want to say they just show like some facial animations that look, extraordinary. And I think ultimately for all fans of Battlefield, most of us want to see a Battlefield Bad Company 2 remake or remaster. That's without a doubt a fact. But if we're not going to get that, then I'm curious, and most are, to see where BF6 is going to go. I'd love to see something like BF3 or BF4, which I think are great titles, and I kind of missed a train with 4, so I'd love to see what 6 is going to offer. And of course, we always have to wonder, what war are they going to go back to? Is it going to be 1, 2, or modern, or are we going to do something totally different? So very, very curious to see where that's going to go. And I wish I could say more, but just being a beloved Battlefield fan like Joe and some of the rest of the camp here, I think a lot of us are ready to rekindle that camaraderie that we had many years ago.
Would you want another Bad Company game?
110%. I'd love to see BF Bad Company 2. Or even, as Joe says in the chat here, BF Bad Company 3. I could talk about Bad Company 2 for a long time. We don't have time for that. But it's in my opinion, one of the greatest first-person shooters ever made. So I'd love to see if they could rekindle that magic. And if those developers have moved on, rehire them, goddammit.
Yeah.
Get them back working together, and let's get this shit done, because that's what the fans want.
Fair enough. So for me, let's move on to a very unique game. This one's called The Falconeer. It is developed by one person. His name, in my notes here, I thought I was prepared. His name is Tomas Sala, and he had done some developing on his with other companies, and he decided that he wanted to make the game that he wanted to make without anybody else getting in the way. Microsoft saw what he was doing and said, "Hey, we'll fund it for you if you let us publish the game." And he was able to quit his job and do this full time, thanks to them. So this
looks amazing, by the way. This is the first time I've laid eyes on it.
This game, it looks incredible. It's like a cross between Panzer Dragoon and Crimson Skies, from what I could tell. It is a completely modern 3D game, but if you look at all the textures, there are none. There are no textures in this game. Everything has a very flat artistic look to it, and this is completely intentional. It lends a very unique style to the game, where it's all based on these really quirky geometric kind of patterns and shapes, and I think it looks stunning. It's unique. Nothing else looks like it, and it looks like it's going to be a ton of fun. It does seem to be like it's an open world game to some degree, so that makes me a little bit nervous because, open world. But you travel the world, you take on missions, you upgrade your Falcon. I mean, look at the dogfighting here. This game just looks absolutely stunning, and this is, a nighttime battle that we're watching right now. Just gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous.
This might be a WCG, Drew. It's a contender.
Well,
I'm liking the looks of this. It's got a lot of style.
It does. I mean, it's all style. This game is 100% style. But as far as I'm aware, it's not coming to PlayStation. And,
okay. Well, we know that there's a chance that I could get the Xbox. It just depends on a few things.
So happy.
It would make a lot of people happy. It would make a lot of people happy.
Yeah, it would be pretty cool if you did. But if hey, when I get this, come on over. Play it from 6 feet away.
Yeah, I don't care, man. Yeah, any game that exudes style and this kind of structure and art, I'm all about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, this looks amazing, man. I'm so glad that I'm able to see this.
Yeah, I'm glad you're digging it too, because I'm super excited about this game, and I'm not sure if it's a day one release. I think it is. So I'm gonna have to take a look and see if I can do about grabbing a copy.
I could see myself getting lost in this.
Oh,
Love
totally. This is the kind of game where like you'll just fly around for hours and get nothing accomplished.
Yeah, and that's fine.
Totally, 100%. All right. So what's next for you?
Let's see. I'm going to go with the Final Fantasy VII remakes. I use the plural version there because obviously we're expecting more, whether
Right.
it's going to be 1, 2, or 3. Who knows how many more we're going to get? There's so little information. As far as I know, last time I checked, there really just isn't much out there.
Right.
They
So
seem to be doing their own thing.
just to clarify for everybody that's watching on Twitch, the video that's currently playing is from the most recent release of Final Fantasy VII Remake. Unfortunately, there's no footage of the new one yet.
No, and there's a lot to be. There's a lot of questions, that we have as fans. Is where is the next iterations? Where are they going to go? Are we going to see Sid and Yuffie and Vincent and all these other characters that we've yet to see in some of these different worlds? And are we going to see the world Dune buggy, which I'm really excited for? Some of those little things I just want to see, remade. And I really did overall enjoy this remake. I obviously had some qualms with it. I spoke about it on one of the episodes. But ultimately, I enjoyed it. And I really, really want to see what they're going to do with the next iterations and when they're going to be coming out. I really hope we get some more information next year. I think we will.
Right.
If we didn't get anything yet next year, I'd be quite surprised. However, this game was a long time coming. So I suppose that if we didn't hear anything, maybe it wouldn't be such of a surprise.
Right.
But yeah.
I mean, I still have not played the remake. I want to, but I did not have a positive experience with the demo, and I've heard things about the final version that came out, both from what you've reviewed as well as some of the other people that I respect, and I just wasn't happy with the direction that they went. So I'm not saying never, but this went from being very high on my must-play list to being pretty low. I think
I would say this is a huge undertaking too.
Yeah. I mean, for them to take, what was originally 6 hours, 8 hours of gameplay and make it 40, that's a lot.
Well, not even just from a dev perspective. I'm just talking about you playing this game would be a large undertaking. And I think that really just involves anybody, even if you're an avid gamer, that is, just kind of naturally born to play games. This is still going to take you a good solid, minimally probably 35 hours, but a good solid 40 if we're being realistic.
Yeah.
And there's a lot to do. There's a lot of side missions. So,
right.
I mean, this game, it felt like it took me fucking all year to beat. Obviously, it didn't. I know it took at least maybe a couple months. I'm not even really sure, but it took time. I was exhausted by the time it was done.
Well, you were also frustrated because you shut your PS4 off and, all that stuff.
Yeah.
The final battle. So
easy mode. Yep. Can't forget about that.
That's for sure.
So yeah, I'm interested. We'll see where it goes. I'm really in no rush. If they come out in 2022, then so be it.
Right.
We need time to, I think, digest the first one still.
Very much so. From here, I'm going to go to Halo Infinite. I am super excited about this game, even though it didn't do too well in the initial release of the trailer that we're showing now. A lot of people criticize the art direction, saying that, hey, this is supposed to be the next generation of gaming. Why does this look like an original Xbox? And I did not agree with that assessment. You're watching this game and there's no texture popping. There's the detail off in the distance is, I think, far superior than what we had in the older Halos. And yeah, maybe some of the closer graphics were not as crisp and as shiny and detailed as some people would like, but I always assumed that was an art direction, not a lack of skill or talent on the developer's part. And then they came out and they said that, hey, this is going to be really representative of a build that was weeks prior to the release of this. And was that an excuse or the truth? I don't know. Frankly, I don't care. I want this game. I want to play this game. I want to feel like I'm playing old school Halo once again. I want to feel like I'm sitting around the LAN cables strewn all over the house with my best friends playing fucking Halo, because those memories are near and dear to my heart, and I miss that. I miss that.
I'm totally with you, man. Nothing will ever take away those memories that I have with Halo 2. Even when I was playing alone or just playing with random people, the starting up that game and hearing that phenomenal music that you hear at the title screen, there's just there's something about that just evokes so much nostalgia, really.
Absolutely.
For me.
It's
a lot of people, actually.
It's like right here, it just hits you
Yeah.
like right there. It gives you those chills that you might not get otherwise. And man, the only thing that concerns me is there have been some delays with this game. And I think twice now they've had a lead developer leave the team. One of those instances just happened this past week. One of the lead writers or one of the lead devs on the team left. And it was just, who knows what kind of development hell the game is in right now. But the idea, open world games are the thing. The idea of playing Halo in an open world is appealing because they've built this vast universe. And even if you're just stuck to one ring, I think that's going to be a tremendous undertaking. And I'm excited. I mean, I don't think this looks bad at all. I think the light, the way it shines off all these objects is absolutely beautiful. Is it perfect? No. But I'm more than happy with it. Joe's telling me to just play Master Chief Collection. And that's a game that I'm looking forward to trying on the Xbox Series X as well, too, because that's supposed to get a nice upgrade, if I'm not mistaken. That's going to be pretty sexy.
Yeah, it's kind of like Cyberpunk. My take on this is pretty much the same. I want to see how it shapes up, and let's hope it goes in the right direction. And if they stick with the same formula, then who knows? It may just click.
Right, absolutely. So that leaves us, we each have one more honorable mention here.
Nice. Let me see what I've got left here. Yeah. So Demon Souls Remake. I think this one was definitely a given, one that was expected from most people that know me. Coming from a Souls background, I think there's no question that I'm excited for this game. It's shaping up to look very good. A lot has changed in the game. I think most fans of the first game have been able to see that from the 2 gameplay trailers, because we now have a new one that just dropped. I don't know, 2-3 days ago. So I think it was the last week. And they show some boss fight footage and just a lot more. And the character that they're showing is still kind of melting dudes, which is a bit concerning to me. I don't know if they're just programming it that way because they don't want to show the true difficulty. Apparently they haven't changed much in that department. Right. But I do trust Bluepoint, coming from being a very avid, beloved fan of the original Demon Souls on PS3, which is a very, very special game to everybody that enjoyed it. Right. It's still hard to digest this meal that we're seeing here, and it's a large meal at that. There's no question about it. This game looks amazing. Yeah. It looks like how a next gen game should look on the PS5, let alone any next gen console. But yeah, I think a lot of us are a little bit skeptical because we want to see where it's going to go. And for the folks that have never played it, I'm sure they're over the moon about it.
I mean, just watching the footage, it's certainly gorgeous looking. I don't think it's for me, but I'm excited for you. I'm happy that you're getting this.
Yeah, it's going to be a game that I'm probably going to gush over, whether it's this year or next. Again, no real rush, but the moment that gameplay trailer 2 dropped last week, I was definitely all over it because I want to see how this game is shaping up, and it is shaping up to be, at least from a graphical perspective, quite amazing.
Yeah, definitely.
I just hope that ultimately it's able to kind of encapsulate that same atmosphere that the first game had, and I think they're doing a pretty good job at showing that. But the first one was just so dark and gloomy, and again, it sounds like I'm such a depressed gamer, but it's so ethereal, the first game, and I really hope that they can pay tribute to that as best as they can.
I hope so too. Oh, so too. Saikoro is suggesting for episode 125, you get me drunk while we play Demon Souls.
Oh boy, what a disaster that would be.
Oh man. So for me, my honorable mention is going to a game that Vortex tipped me off on, and this one's called Outriders. It is a how do I describe it? It's a co-op RPG. It's kind of similar to Anthem, but it's made by Square. And it is combining that that RPG with loot shooter kind of mechanics. We have some footage of it coming up right now, and it looks like you have a team, like a squad up. You're playing with this group of people, and you're dealing with combining your skills with each other to try and deal the most damage, get this maximum effect. I guess there's 4 classes. They all have different abilities. One of them can manipulate time. One of them can manipulate fire. One of them can manipulate the earth, things of that nature. And then you have guns. So you're combining magic and gunplay in the same combination with as far as I'm aware, a ground-based shooter. And it looks really cool. The reason I'm putting this as an honorable mention is because Anthem looked really cool. And then it wasn't. And that really breaks my heart because Anthem had some of the best gameplay mechanics as far as flying goes. And I thought the shooting was well done. I thought the magic system was well done. And it just failed. They had some strong concepts, and some of them were executed well. I think if you want to fly in a video game, there's no better game to fly in. But unfortunately, just dropped the ball everywhere else. And they're still working on the game. They're preparing an Anthem 2. I hope they get it right because I would love to go back to it and play it. But until then, I'm going to keep my eyes on this and see where it goes and patiently wait for the game to be reviewed before I buy it.
That's smart. This game looks good, man. It looks kind of like it's got a lot of interesting gameplay mechanics and camera elements that are similar to Mass Effect, Gears of War. It's got a lot of those sort of rushing and rolling features that you see in the Gears games.
Very much.
You've got a sort of point system here that I can see that's similar to Borderlands and Fallout. Quite an interesting mix of mechanics, really, is what I'm seeing. And yeah, this looks pretty slick, man.
Yeah.
I'm kind of excited to see where this goes, and I didn't know about it until just now.
Yeah. Vortex dropped a link to it in the chat a while back, and I checked it out. And I'm like, hey, this looks pretty neat. So no release date as of yet, as far as I'm aware. But I'll keep an eye on this, just kind of from the peripheral.
Yeah, I think it's worth keeping in the docket for sure.
So, all right. So we're going to take a quick break because Will's battery on his his laptop is starting to die. We're going to need to make some adjustments. When we come back, we still have a couple flashback clips for you guys and mailbag and maybe one other topic. So stick around, folks. We'll be back shortly. All right, and we are back. Will, you broke your computer.
Yeah, sort of. In a roundabout way, I have to plug this thing into the charger, and I'm working off the Era built-in mic, even though I've got the Yeti here because the Yeti never leaves.
The Yeti looks cool though. I feel like you're on like a real talk show where they have like the prop mics that don't actually do any good.
It does look cool, man, and that's one of the reasons why I got it. Great price, great product, and it's got that old school look.
Oh man. So we're gonna cue over to another flashback clip. This one is coming from episode 72. This is where Will is drinking a carbonated beverage, and his wife Lauren does a little basic math for him, help him figure out how many calories this thing has.
Roll it.
Here we go.
Well, a Dr. Pepper. I shouldn't really shorten it because I'm not like a Dr. Pepper person. But I think it's given me a little bit of pep in my steps, so I wanted to call it Dr. Pep.
But I'm curious about the miniature part.
It's small, dude. So Lauren likes them.
Yeah.
And they're 90 calories. I don't know how many calories would be in a full-size can.
Probably double. Well, how many ounces is a can?
Well, all of a sudden, I've got a Dr. Pepper expert over in the peanut gallery to the left here.
I can hear her.
She's like, "Oh yeah, it's 90 calories in that can." She was just like fucking factoiding this.
Yeah, she's like 6 grams of sugar, fucking caffeine, 5 milligrams of caffeine.
What'd you say, honey? Yeah. It's so you don't feel bad about drinking a whole soda. I think that's why she likes them. Plus, she likes Dr. Pepper.
Right.
These small ones, they are nice if you just want like a quick little soda fix or a small amount of caffeine. I'm really not sure how many milligrams are in here.
Well, ask the expert.
Oh, here we go. Wait, 26 milligrams. Yeah, wow. I should have just turned to the expert
Lauren,
here.
How many caffeines?
Yeah, I need you to tell me in exactly half a second.
She'll be like, well. Let's see here. Carry the 4, 30 milligrams.
Carry the 4. That's it. Episode title, Carry the 4.
All right, and we are back. Will, did you ever figure out how much sugar was in that Dr. Pep anyway?
Oh my gosh. It was probably still kind of an obscene amount. I'd say like at least 30 something because I think your traditional can of Dr. Pep probably has like 60 grams. So it's probably like 30 at least.
Oh my goodness. So just a quick question for everybody that's listening in. We are having, as I mentioned before, some technical issues. And according to Will, my voice now sounds like Barry White. Can anybody else confirm that's listening to this that the quality of my voice has changed to Barry White? Because I have a very high-pitched voice. And I would love to have a voice like Barry White.
Oh my God, it's gonna put me to sleep, dude. You can tuck me in tonight with that voice.
Wow. All right, I'm all sexy here. Vortex, thank you for verifying that I am indeed sounding normally obnoxious like me. So sorry,
Damn.
Sorry, Will. You're just gonna have to deal with it.
I'm dealing with Barry White here.
Yeah, man. So we have been playing for the podcast a game club. We started in October with Dead Space, and we had a lot of fans of the game. Primarily it's just been me and Joe playing the game, but we've had a lot of people that have recently played it chiming in and talking about the game as well too. And I wanted to spend a little bit of time kind of chatting about the game, just for a few minutes because we have so much to cover, but I do want to acknowledge it. Dead Space has just been an absolute blast to play. And let me tell you, man, this game has aged so well. We got some footage of it going on the screen now. I'm sure it's going to give you nightmares, Will, because this is the type of game that you would hate.
Right. Hence why I'm not playing it this month.
Yeah. I mean, in hindsight, perhaps maybe it was a bad choice for our first game club, but it was Halloween and something that I really wanted to get back to. And oh man, I have been really happy with the game itself. It feels next gen. Still, the graphics might not be quite so crisp, and there are some things that are just, tutorial wise, they're hitting you over the head with. But man, this game feels like it was made yesterday. It sounds tremendous. It has all the things that I love about science fiction, and I'm not a huge horror fan, but this walks that line brilliantly. Wow, what a
Yeah, I mean, look at this trailer, dude. I mean, it looks phenomenal.
yeah. And this is
It looks phenomenal, and it also looks like my worst nightmare.
so this was recorded. This is an IGN review that was recorded back in 2006 or 2007 when the game first came out. And you'd never like playing it on the Xbox One X. It just looks phenomenal. The only reason that this video kind of looks a little grainy is because of 720p. So that's how old we're talking. Like 1080p wasn't really a regular recording format at that point.
Right.
But man, like right now we're looking at a shot of him, your main character, Isaac Clarke, jumping around in anti-gravity. And like even the anti-gravity in this game, which is few and far between, but it feels really well done. You know, you just kind of point your gun at a spot and you press the Y button and you launch towards it if you're able to, or you don't if you can't. It has a clever way of getting you around the ship, where it draws a line in the direction that you need to go in towards your next objective. And it's not perfect. It can be glitchy, but it works really well. But the environments, the atmosphere, the enemies are just terrifying. I mean, this is like H.R. Geiger shit, man. And it is so well done. I have a feeling you've probably minimized the screen at this point.
I'm actually still watching it, and honestly, it reminds a lot of folks, not just me, of Event Horizon,
Totally.
a movie that is highly disturbing, but something that I've watched many times when I was younger. And yeah, just as I've gotten older, I just have less of a tolerance for this kind of shit because it kind of just stays with me and it just kind of bugs me.
Yeah.
But there's no doubt about it that this game looks amazing, and it has some of the best sound effects I think I've ever heard in a game. Even just the stomping effect.
Oh my God. And the story is really well done too. You know, you're playing as an engineer. His name is Isaac Clarke, which is obviously a nod to Isaac Asimov and Arthur C. Clarke. So they have that nice little nod to, you know, your science fiction writers, some of the best ones. And anyway, you're going to this ship called the USG Ishimura, which is it's basically a mining ship. They're mining a planet, and they unveil something buried deep in the planet called the Marker, and it's basically a alien monolith that starts making people just batshit crazy. They start murdering each other. They start transforming into aliens, and there's a whole cult that develops out of it as well too. And in the meantime, when you're on your way to the ship, you've come to find out that Isaac is also searching for his girlfriend or his fiance Nicole, who he doesn't know what's happened to her. And as the story progresses, you start to get messages from her, and those messages aren't exactly what they seem to be. It ends up becoming this whole thing. I'm not going to go into details about it because I don't want to spoil it for anybody that hasn't played it. But you know, there's more to that than just missing girlfriend. But just a tremendous game. I wanted to kind of just touch base on it real quick because we are in. I'm in chapter 8 of the game. I still have a little ways to go. I'm not sure where Joe left off. I asked him if he had anything that he wanted to comment on, and Joe did say the game really holds up well, feels like a modern release in most ways. He does hate the silent protagonist because Isaac does not speak, and the asteroid turret section, which can go get fucked. That section sucks. They have this one section where you're holding a turret and you're trying to shoot these asteroids that are coming at you, and the controls for the turrets are just atrocious. It's terrible, and if you're playing it on a higher difficulty, it's even worse because you get hit once by an asteroid and you're done, I think. He's been going through the game and being a little bit more liberal with the weapons that he's using. I'm playing with only the plasma cutter because apparently the first time I played this game, I did not play through with just the plasma cutter. I thought I had. And there's an achievement for that. And the plasma cutter is the weapon that you start out with in the game, and is probably the most effective weapon in the game as well too, because it teaches you the fundamentals of how to defeat these enemies the most efficient way possible, which is dismembering them, shooting off their arms, shooting off their legs, and making them immobile. And it's challenging, but the plasma cutter, I think, especially once you upgrade it, is the most efficient way of doing it.
Yeah.
He also says that he's getting some extra achievements out of it. I guess there's some stuff that kind of got locked up on the 360 that never went through the first time. And Son of a Fitch chimed in and said, I played Dead Space about a year ago on PC, and to be honest, I was blown away by how good it still looks. It looks like it could be a game on the current gen, not to mention the level design is amazing. It's so atmospheric and creepy. The necromorphs are solid, and the plasma cutter is such a smart weapon for that game, showing you how you need to defeat these enemies. We got a lot of love for this game in the chat room. Saikuro calls it Alien Meets Event Horizon. He's very happy. It was 1,000 achievement points in this game. Good for you, man. That's a hell of an achievement. And man, it's been a lot of fun playing this.
I remember actually owning that game on PC, which apparently is an awful way to play it. From what I understand, it's a really bad port. And I picked up the PC version, like a literal physical PC disc from Best Buy. Years ago, must have been like 2006 or 7, somewhere around there.
Yep.
And I remember it looking really good on my custom rig at that time. I remember my dad was still around. I was like, Dad, check this out. And I was showing him just like Isaac stomping in the ship, and it just sounded so good.
It's such a violent stomp too.
It's a violent stomp. It's a violent sound, and you can hear his voice sort of echoing within his helmet in the ship. And they just did such a tremendous job of that sound design that whether it's a game for me or not, it was impossible not to recognize the quality and the care that went into making this game.
Vortex says it's one of his top 3 games of all time. It is hard to deny that. Dead Space 2 is also excellent. I was kind of hoping to play that after this, but with the Series X coming out next week, I don't know that I'll have the opportunity to start Dead Space 2 for a little while. But it is also a great game. Joe Donuts is also chiming in. Dead Space 2 is my favorite of the 3, definitely top 10. So I recommend giving it a chance if you ever have the opportunity. I understand why you may not want to, but this is one of those games very much like Last of Us, where yes, it will make you uncomfortable, but you're also missing a piece of gaming history.
Yeah, it's challenging because I really want to experience Dead Space, and I may still choose to, go through this endeavor, but right now I'm just not too sure.
Yeah, I hear you. All right, so Saikuro says episode 150, Will gets drunk and plays with silly string.
I probably already done that in my life, mind you.
Yeah. All right, so we are going to go kick it over to one more flashback clip. This one comes from episode 6, where we're talking about some video game music. So here we go. I fall in love with some music from Final Fantasy VII. Like, even just the prelude. When the game first comes in and they're showing, Ares picking up the flower and everything, and it shows the train on the tracks, it just builds this nice tension. And then I'll never forget the first time I fought Sephiroth, One-Winged Angel.
Oh man, what a try.
That was like the culmination of, all these hours. I had put in Jeez, because I think I put 70 hours into. I
Oh,
went
sure.
back in. I ended up rolling the counter. I went over 100 hours, but oh man, the music in Final Fantasy VII to this day is just one of my favorites, and it's one of the reasons that I really wanted to play the remake.
I hope that someday, if you do choose to play the remake, you're impressed with what they did, because I think they did a fantastic job with the music. That is one part of that game that was far from a letdown.
Yeah.
But it is hard to recreate what we were exposed to in '97. However, the remake did do a very, very good job. So I think it's worth exploring. And even if you don't play the game, you might as well just listen to the soundtrack, whether it's on YouTube or Spotify, whatever your music platform of choice is.
That's a good point. I never bothered to fire that up. I really should just maybe tomorrow I'll just play the soundtrack.
Yeah, you should. Throw it on in the background.
Yeah, that sounds like a good idea to me. So we have some mailbag questions that we're going to hit up that we had thrown into our Discord room. If you guys have anything that you'd like us to answer on the air too, feel free to drop us a note in the chat here. We'll do our best to get to as much of it as possible. We're going to start with Joe Donuts, who says, what are your favorite rare moods that a game has gotten you into? I've realized that a lot of my favorite games are about characters in lonely, solitary situations. There's a heightened escapism to being lost in the woods of a Bethesda game or wandering the wastelands of Legacy of Kain Soul Reaver that really resonates with me.
I think Joe and I have spoken about this off air plenty of times, and more so recently. And I think it's a pretty prevalent point to bring up, because it's definitely something that I feel as well. And I think a lot of other gamers probably feel it too, which is that sense of solitude that you can find in certain games. And I think it's important. It kind of is a sort of reflection on how society is in the world that we live in, which is so maddening, right? We wake up every day and there's this avalanche of just information and content that we're exposing ourselves to. And sometimes when we choose not to, it's hard to escape. So when you have a game like Skyrim or Soul Reaver, or any game that can transport you into a world of loneliness or solitude and escapism, I think it's important. And I think that we cherish and sort of find ourselves soaking in those moments, because we don't get them enough in our regular lives.
Right.
So I think that if you can find those moments of peace in a game, I encourage you to do so, because it's hard to do that in society.
Right. I mean, some of those similar moods have come to me when I was playing like Horizon Zero Dawn, where you have that one item that's on the side of a mountain and you have to jump your way up there and scale across this huge cavernous cliffside. And when you get to the top of the mountain, you just stop and you look out, and it's just beautiful. Just absolutely beautiful, whether it's snow, whether it's rain, whether it's sun. That game is just jaw-droppingly gorgeous even on a base PS4. Man, I like that. I can't wait for that game. I can't wait for the sequel. That's going to be so amazing looking. But that game, I think, gives me that sense of wonder. That's that moment when you, like, in real life, you go and you hike and you make it to the top of the mountain that you're hiking, and you just stop and you just look out and you see, in Connecticut, we're very fortunate to have a lot of mountainous areas, but there's a lot of cities around us. So we get that city right in the sight. But man, if you can find a spot where there's no city, oh, it's just wonderful.
Oh, it's breathtaking, man. I
Absolutely.
mean, it's like I said before, you can go on YouTube and I can watch some guy hiking in Norway, and sure, it's going to look amazing, but you can't beat it in real life. And when you have those moments in games, they're similar to what you would get out of real life. And, not all of us can hike some mountain in Skyrim on the regular. So when you get those moments, you do get that sense of wonder. You get that sense of just wanting to be alone and sometimes kind of just soaking it in. I actually had a moment the other night playing Shadow of the Colossus. I sent a few folks that are on the stream right now some photo shots and screenshots of where I was. And there was this one mountainous landscape that sort of showed the ocean down below. And I had to stop. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to pull up photo mode. I'm going to take a couple shots. And you just kind of it's mixed emotions. It could be sadness, it could be happiness, it could be, maybe I'm just going to sit here for a minute on the horse and think about what I have to do this week. It could be anything. But if a game can evoke and bring out those emotions within you, I think it's doing something right. And I think that we have to be careful not to ignore those moments.
Absolutely. All right, let's pull a question from the chat. This one comes from Vortex. Any interest in Fuser? I feel Will would like that a lot. Reminds me of DJ Hero almost. Are you familiar with this one?
I'm not. Vortex knows, or Vic knows, that I am a massive fan of DJ Hero 2 specifically. I wasn't a huge fan of 1, but 2 is definitely my jam. And man, I wish I still had it. I really put a lot of blood, sweat, and tears into that title.
Yeah, so Fuser, I'm not the best person to describe the game, but it is a harmonics game, and it's kind of this, fusion of DJ Hero and what the hell is the name of that game? Drop Mix, which is like this physical card game that you can play, and it basically you're mixing songs together as you're playing. This is kind of taking that to the next level. It looks pretty cool. I do think it's something that's more Will-oriented than Drew-oriented, but I wouldn't mind checking it out. I think it could be a lot of fun, but probably not my own copy. I'd probably want to try somebody else's. So
yeah, I'd love to look into anything like that. Anything that is going to bring back the memories that we all have of Rock Band and Guitar Hero, DJ Hero, any of those kind of harmonics games. I'd love to see them make some sort of massive comeback. I'd love to see a DJ Hero 3 on the PS5. Given that same fucking turntable, man, I'd be over the moon.
I think the worst thing to happen with the DJ Hero Rock Band era of gaming is you have all these peripherals that really were just useful for one game.
Yeah,
it's unfortunate.
I remember having the drum set, dude, and I think everybody who had the drum set for Rock Band felt a little bit like a child at times when you're banging on like little plastic drums and you're trying to go to Best Buy to get those little mats you could put on there to deafen them a little bit so you didn't sound like a fucking animal.
I would challenge you to try to play Master of Puppets on hard, and then tell me that you still feel like a child, because you will feel like you are an actual drummer.
Yeah, well, that's the thing, is there was a lot of folks that played those drums just with no soul. And what I mean by that is like they weren't even taking the time to even just like hit it properly, like you would hold a drumstick the right way.
Oh yeah.
They were doing a lot of like this kind of stuff, and I was like, no, like let it bounce, like learn how to actually use a drumstick. And I promise you, as crazy as this sounds, even though we're hitting on plastic, it's going to make you feel like you're having a better experience. And I definitely have that. And
you can learn, like if you stick with it, like you'll learn how to play those songs for real.
Oh yeah. Absolutely.
Back to the Discord. This one comes from Shannon. What decade old or older franchises would you guys like to see get a reboot in this new generation? And would you like to develop the game, or who would you like to develop the game? Excuse me.
That's a really good one.
I mean, like after going through Dead Space, I think it would be cool to get a reboot of that, as long as it's done with care. I would expect them to bring the same team on board, and maybe not a reboot, but maybe a remake of the first game, and maybe even the second game, I think would be good. But the game is really playing so well, I would hesitate to do that. Anytime we get a question like this, I'm compelled to just try to find something.
Turn around and look.
Trying to find something on the shelf. I would love to see like the original Star Fox redone. The Super Nintendo Star Fox. I think that.
Yeah.
That
well,
would
the thing about this question is, just like you said, like there's so many possibilities, right? There's so many fantasies and dreams that we've all had as gamers as to what we'd like to see again. And I think if anything came to sort of memory now, I would probably love to see FromSoft actually do a Tenchu remake.
Ooh, yeah.
I mean, we got Sekiro, right, which is pretty close. But I'd love to see them do a true Tenchu remake. And I mean, it doesn't even have to necessarily be one, like Tenchu 1 or Tenchu 2 or anything. You don't have to remaster or remake those. Give us a brand new Tenchu game made by FromSoft, same dev team that did Sekiro, and I think we would probably get something pretty special.
Right. That would be really cool. I'd be on board for that.
Yeah, it was a spectacular franchise for the most part until some of the later iterations.
Yeah. His second question is, what are your favorite exclusive Nintendo titles that do not have Nintendo characters in them? That's a little more complicated for me because I can't think of exclusive Nintendo titles that don't have Nintendo characters.
Well, does it have to be like a game? Can it be a game that was like on the Nintendo 64, for example?
Yes, I guess.
Yeah, because that one, I guess we'd need some more clarity on. I mean, because if that were the case, then I think this would be a lot easier to answer. But if it's a Nintendo exclusive game, like a Nintendo game, then I would probably have a pretty hard time figuring out what to say there.
Yeah, I think so. Let's see here. He also sends his congratulations for episode 100. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Back to the Twitch chat. We were going to Massa Brooks. I just beat Dishonored 2, and I did not realize that Bethesda published the game. 90% through the game, I was told that I am better than the current ruler. Felt kind of bad, but I'm playing another playthrough to get a more good feeling ending. Interesting. Are you familiar with Dishonored 2? I've never played it.
I'm not. I'm fairly familiar with Dishonored 1, which was marketed really well, and I remember a lot of folks playing that. Didn't really look like my cup of tea from an animation and sort of artistic perspective, but from what I understand, it's a pretty solid franchise.
Yeah, I don't know much.
Other than that, I don't know much about too. Excuse me.
I'll take another one from the chat. This one's from Breezy Monster. A friend of yours has never played a video game before and is willing to play one game you recommend to start to finish. What do you have them play?
This one's pretty easy, I think, for me. I'd say Brothers: A Tale of Two Sons, hands down.
Okay, why?
It's a fantastic game. It's an incredible journey. I think it's pretty easy to play. So, if this is coming from the standpoint of, never played a video game before, I wouldn't want to introduce them to Witcher 3 or anything that complex. They just have a meltdown. But I think Brothers is short, it's sweet, it's very memorable. It's kind of like playing a sort of short story. I think everything about it, from sound to design to gameplay, the mechanics can be a little tricky sometimes, but I think you can pick up on them fairly quickly. But I think it's very accessible, and I think it's because it's so memorable. I think it would keep the non-gamer engaged enough to explore more games in the future.
Yeah, I'm gonna say Untitled Goose Game. It's short.
I can understand that.
It's short. It's silly. It's lighthearted. It's fun. It's creative. It's unique. And I think that it's the kind of game that can appeal to gamers and non-gamers alike.
Yep. I mean, I played a short amount of it, I think, on your Switch one time, and it's just one of those things that your mom could play, your dad could play, and it wouldn't take them long to understand. Yeah. Okay, we're just going to annoy the shit out of people with this goose.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's satisfying. We all want to do that.
Yeah, and it's the kind of game that I wouldn't mind just firing up again too. Like, I haven't played it in a little while, but you can just sit back and relax with it. Breezy Monster also has a follow-up question. She asked, do you fold your pizza when you eat it? Yes.
I would say most of the time. I had pizza actually the other night, and I didn't fold it, but only because it was cut thinner. Like, the slices were not as big. But if it's a traditional pizza, like a New York City style, you bet your sweet ass that's getting folded.
That's right. In Connecticut.
And there's a couple reasons for that. One, grease. Two, you want to be able to eat it a little bit more easily. And when you fold it, you can kind of do that little side turn, and you get some nice, some good bites that way.
Plus, you also are protecting your mouth from the boiling hot cheese.
Yeah, you're going into the crust first.
A little bit. I mean, you're still going to scald your mouth, but I mean, look, if you live in Connecticut, you fold your pizza. Full stop. That's all I'm saying.
That might have to be the episode title for this.
If you live in Connecticut, you fold your pizza. Oh, God. I'm going to have to jot that down in our notes.
Yeah, please do.
CT, you fold your pizza. Full stop. Okay. Anyway, let's see here. Back to the Discord room. This one's from Epic Outro, who just got married this weekend. Congratulations, Dave.
Congratulations.
We are both so happy for you. It was an honor being there with you, man. He says, I don't have a question tonight, but the live stream looks incredible, and I want to wish you and your listeners a happy first 100. Here's hoping for many, many more. He also chimes in about the God of War teaser that we were talking about earlier. He says, you were losing your shit over that God of War teaser, but as a person who never played much of the franchise, I had no idea what that thing was even teasing. So I can relate with that as well.
Yeah, I think it's only going to be appealing to the people that played the game.
Yeah. Saikoro in the Twitch chat asks if I will ever play BioShock Infinite, and the answer is hopefully. But much like a lot of my backlog, it's something that I want to, but like you have to consider I have limited amount of time to play games to begin with. And if I'm playing that, then I'm not playing something else. So, where do I draw the line? And this is a constant battle that I've had for 100 episodes. Breezy does want to jump in on Infinite for a game club, so maybe that's a good option for the future. Let's definitely talk about that further, Breezy, because I think that would be a great game to play as a WDGR Game Club game.
I think so. I've got it too on the PS3. So
there you go. So maybe we'll do that. If not November, maybe December.
Okay.
Let's see here. What else? Massa Brooks, how do you guys feel about the Doom franchise and how it developed into the quote next gen environment? Do you feel like it has stayed to the original or stayed to its origins? Any thoughts on that?
I mean, this one I think is probably better suited for you to answer. However, I think that it's inevitable that what we're seeing from Doom is what we're seeing now.
Yeah.
What we saw in Eternal, what we saw in Doom 2016. I think it was likely that we were going to head into that sort of next gen environment that you speak of there, Masa.
Yeah.
I still think it looks like an amazing game, both Eternal and 2016. I don't know if it's the right fit for me because I don't know if I have the Twitch reflexes
right.
To kind of keep up with the madness. But watching that, on Drew's television, it looks like a solid game, and I respect the people that play it.
Yeah, I mean I think they needed to go in that direction. I think they captured the essence of the original Doom and Doom 2 with Doom 2016, but they made it faster, more violent. I think it's probably the game that deep down inside, id Software probably always wanted to make, but it's they couldn't. They could not continue to go in the direction of the horror theme like they did with Doom 3, because Doom 3, as unique as it was, just didn't get the same devoted following that the previous Dooms had. So they needed to reinvent themselves and kind of go forward while simultaneously going backwards. And I think it worked out for the better. And even though I have reservations about Doom Eternal and frustrations with Doom Eternal, I think that if they were to take elements of Doom Eternal and elements of Doom 2016 and put them together, they would have the perfect Doom game, because there's shit that they do in Doom Eternal, like the grappling hook and the platforming, that are so much fun. And then there's shit that they do in Doom Eternal that I can't stand, like the Marauders and the unreasonable difficulty of the game. I'm sorry. I know I just got to get good, but it is what it is. And that was a miserable experience for me. And I hate that they made me go through that.
Yeah, no, I'm with you, man. We've spoken about that particular topic as far as getting good many times. And it's, it's valid. But at the same time, if you find yourself working to be able to get to a level where you can actually play the game, I feel like there's going to be a barrier that you're going to hit, and you're not going to want to cross that barrier anymore.
Right. You're
just going to say, I've reached my limits here, and that's it. And I totally respect that, because games have gotten increasingly more difficult. I think over the past few years, there's more tasks that have been on our plates, and sometimes you just want to fucking have fun. And if that's not happening in a reasonable amount of time,
right,
I can understand the abandonment of a particular title.
Absolutely. All right, so let's close up the mailbag, and we have one more flashback clip before we wrap up the show. So this one comes from a special reading from Dave, and this is a scripted. I don't know why.
Oh boy.
I don't know why he did this to him. Well, I'm just going to play the clip. Here we go.
Okay.
Do you like Huey Lewis in the news? Do you like Huey Lewis in the news? Excuse me, let me do that again.
Oh my God, this is just so rich.
Do you like Huey Lewis in the news? Their early work was a little too new wave for my tastes, but when sports came out in '83, what the fuck is this?
God. This, Drew, this is unbelievable.
How did you convince him to do that?
Dude, you know what? I think that day I recognized that he sounded an awful lot like Patrick Bateman in American Psycho. And I was like, where is this voice coming from? Like, I just heard it in my head. I was like, where have I heard this before?
Yeah.
And I just kind of put two and two together. And I was like, you know what, man? Stand by. So I remember looking up that Huey Lewis and news script, I think, from the movie. And I was like, dude, please just rate this. And, we got it on audio, and I ended up doing some later projects with him that ended up being the same kind of thing. And I think he's gifted for just having a great voice for radio and really anything. And it was great to hear him do an impression of Bateman on that particular day. So
it is. Dave certainly is a gifted voice actor and just a gifted individual overall. He's extremely talented.
Yeah.
So we are coming to the end of our show. I had no idea that we were going to go almost 3 hours, but here we are. Somehow this is what we do. And we left a bunch of shit out too, man. But I think we would be terrible people if we haven't taken the time to acknowledge the people that have gotten us to episode 100. First of all, thank you to everybody who's been a part of the WDGR crew from day one. Thank you to everybody in the Discord room. We have the best fucking Discord.
We do.
If you're listening to us and you've never heard our show before, please join us in the Discord room. Say hello. I'm dropping a link in the chat right now, and we would love to have you on board. Come hang out with us, play some games with us, talk about your favorite games. It's just a wonderful way to just hang out with awesome people.
Yeah, I think it's one of the best things that ever happened to this show was opening up that Discord, because not only was it a service that we as friends were using prior to the show, now that we have our own room and rooms, I should say, they've really expanded, and we have so many different areas that you can chat and collaborate and just kind of talk with us. We definitely encourage you to join, because I look forward to going in there daily. There's so many good conversations, so much insight. It's incredible. It's an incredible app.
Yeah, absolutely. And then all the guests that we've had over the past few years as well too.
Absolutely.
Thank you to Vic and Vinci. Thank you to Damien. Thank you to Dave and Jimmy and Joe and Raph. And thank you to Patrick and James from Retrospectives. Thank you to Ben. And did I say Zach? Thank you to Zach. Tom. How did I forget Tom? I didn't even have Tom on the list. Thank you to Tom. Who else am I missing?
Oh my gosh, I wouldn't even know, man. We've had quite the slew of guests. Did we include Mike?
Mike Tubiak, thank you. Who else? Oh man, I'm terrible. I wrote down a bunch of names and I'm like, I know I'm missing people.
I think you've covered most.
I'm sure we're missing somebody. If we're missing you, yell at me. But you have to.
Yeah, this is kind of like.
You have to come to our Discord room to do it, though.
Yeah, it's kind of like when you're accepting like an Academy Award. There's always somebody that you forget. But yeah, for everybody that supported us and been on the show, thank you from the bottom of our hearts. It definitely is a passion project that hopefully will turn into even more.
Yeah.
We're very excited to see what the future unfolds for us, and thank you for sticking around.
So just to kind of wrap things up, our website is www.wdgrpodcast.com. You can find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at WDGR Podcast. We've been playing some awesome tunes throughout the show, and you wrote them all. How can they find those songs?
Sure. You can go to SoundCloud. You may not be familiar with it, but it's a music website. So it's soundcloud.com/will_gear.
And you can find me on social media on Twitter at ScionStorm. There will be links to everything in the show notes. What do you want to say, man? Anything else you want to drop before we sign this thing off?
Dude, I don't even know, man. I just think it's incredible that we're able to do this. It's such an amazing little hobby and a thing that we do. And again, it's turning into something special, really, really special. And I'm glad to be a part of it. And I'm glad that we're here for 100 episodes and many more to come. So what I have to say is onward and upward, friends.
Yeah. And thank you to everybody that's in the Twitch chat. We really appreciate you guys helping us make this show special with all your commentary, all your questions, all your thoughts and shout outs and everything. We couldn't have done this without a full Twitch room. We love you all. Thank you so much for being a part of it. On that note, we'll see you next time.
Thank you.